summer, the Penguins turned their coaching reins over to Scotty Bowman. In Boston, a change was made. Rick Bowness was behind the bench. An improbable run for these two teams. Boston advanced to the Wales Conference Championship with a tough 7-game series against Buffalo and an improbable Canadians. The Bruins were ready for yet another challenge. The defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins, they came back from 3-1 to defeat the Capitals in round 1. Then they took on the team with the best regular season record, the New York Rangers, and the Penguins prevailed in 6 games. So the scene is set for the Wales Conference Championship. It's game number 1. The defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins against the Boston Bruins tonight on Sports. Good evening and welcome to Game 1 of the Wales Conference Championship tonight on Sports Channel America. I'm Bob Pop in our New York studios. The defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins square off against the Boston Bruins in a rematch of last year. This has the makings of a very interesting series as far as how these two teams shape up. Should be interesting to see how both teams handle their injury problems. Also, throughout the course of the evening, we'll take a closer look at the Pittsburgh Penguins' Sean McEachern, and we'll take a look back at last night's game between Chicago and the Edmonton Oilers. Let's take a look at how this series shapes up. The Wales final, it is the 4th playoff meeting between the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Boston leads it 2-1. Last year, of course, Pittsburgh won it in 6 games. Very even during the regular season. Each team won a game, and there was a tie as well. Well, we have a full complement of action for you this evening from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Jiggs McDonald and Bill Clement with the call, and also joining us, Mike Emmerich. And Mike, the question is concerning tonight's game. It's a repeat of last year, but a lot of different faces. Do you expect a similar series?
I expect a similar hard-fought series. These are two teams, Bob, who have come here on the crest of incredible emotion. They both pulled off upsets. Pittsburgh upset their division leader. Boston did the same thing. The Rangers in Montreal have fallen now. And you'd think, too, Bob, that fans might get a little blasé in a city where they've already won a championship just a year ago. Boy, it hasn't happened here. You're going to hear a lot of cheering tonight by these local Pittsburgh fans when their team comes out. If you're picking Boston in this series, you're counting on a team that got its chemistry very late in the regular season. They peaked at the right time, and they carried it right through 2 playoff rounds. If you're picking Pittsburgh, you're looking at talent on paper and talent that's produced one of the most impressive offenses that we've seen in the modern history of the game here, too. And both teams have had sensational goaltending. Bob, in addition to you back at the studio, we have personnel, we have cameras, we have microphones all over this Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, down the runway, and tucked back in our studio, well away from the ice and away from all of the noise that's eventually going to come from the crowd. It's an 11-year NHL player, 2-time Stanley Cup champ, 7th year of analysis, Bill
Well, Mike,
Clement.
as you know, both of these teams made it to the conference finals with their superstars not on the ice, but sitting in rooms probably a lot like this one, watching the games on TV monitors. We wanted to bring everybody up to speed on both situations. The Mario Lemieux story is pretty clear. He will not play tonight. He has a cast on his left hand and is expected to play in Game 5. I suspect we may see him by Game 3. Ray Bourque of the Boston Bruins, a little more dramatic situation. As of noon today, there was a chance he would play tonight, but I ran into his coach, Rick Bowness, moments ago, and he said he has just been fitted with a new cast on his right hand. He will not play tonight. He will definitely be back Tuesday night. I also asked Rick Bowness what the #1 team asset was of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Team asset. He had a quick answer, 2 words long. He said, Jaromir Jagr. He's the man the Bruins are going to have to stop.
Our play-by-play location here at Civic Arena, known as the Big Igloo, is way up high at the roof, a long ways back from the ice. And a guy who has made that trek so often here in his 25 years of NHL broadcasting, and did so specifically in the last series between the Penguins and Rangers, Jiggs McDonald is standing by. Jiggs.
Mike, I look forward to the goaltending matchup in this series as one of the big keys. From the Boston Bruins, the ability of Andy Moog, and agility too, I should say. In the series against Montreal, he allowed only 8 goals in the Bruins sweep. he has that wonderful left hand, that catching hand, which is certainly one of his strengths. He's the smaller of the two. Tom Barrasso of the Pittsburgh Penguins, on the other hand, catches with the right hand, and that's regarded as his strength. In the series against the New York Rangers, especially the last two games, he was brilliant, in my opinion. Prior to that, he had a tendency to lose his concentration, was down on the ice a little too much for my liking. But in this series, as I said, this is the key. Whichever one of these two goaltenders is the best will win it for his team. Mike?
Work missing. Don't forget that Cam Neely, three-time All-Star right wing, is missing from the Boston lineup, as well as Ray Bourque. Neely is out for the year after knee surgery. This year we have a change from last year in addition, because we have different coaches. For Boston, Mike Milbury is now assistant general manager. The coach is Rick Bowness. Bob Johnson, an untimely death because of cancer. For Pittsburgh, the coach is Scotty Bowman. We asked Bowman and Bowness to assess each other.
Well, I have a lot of respect for Scotty Bowman. I have a lot of respect for any coach that has won the Stanley Cup. That's certainly the number of cups that he has won and the tremendous success he's had. I'm very respectful of that, but nor am I intimidated by it.
Well, I don't think there's an advantage. The first time you get in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's also exciting. You don't really think of, if I was in his shoes, you don't think about the other coach. I never think really about the opposition's coach. I have a lot of respect for Rick Bowness because I know what he went through down the stretch run. There was a lot of conversation, but finally a coach was rewarded with some new players, and the team responded.
16,164 fans, including Elvis. A sellout for the 23rd straight time here at Civic Arena. The anthems and the opening face-off coming up in just a moment.
This crowd of 16,000 plus at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh has been standing and cheering the hometown Pittsburgh Penguins. Now the teams lined up at their blue lines at our national anthem.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. What day does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free
The young lady's name, Christina Aguilera, honoring America with the Star-Spangled Banner. And this crowd continues to cheer as we get set for Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins. Andy Van Hellemond will referee tonight's game. Wayne Bonney and Gerard Gauthier to work the lines. The off-ice officials are from Philadelphia, and the supervisor for this series is Wally Harris. Andy Van Hellemond working his 10th game, and Andy Moog in the nets tonight for the Bruins. This is 101st Stanley Cup playoff game, and on this 1992 series, 8 wins, 3 losses, and a 2.72 goals against.
You know, last year Tom Barrasso wanted to prove something. He wanted to prove he's a money goalie. He did it last year. He's doing it again this year.
And the opening face-off brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. And the Bruins to the attack early, and immediately a penalty to be signaled here by referee Van Hellemond. 14 seconds into the game, a charging penalty signaled. The Pittsburgh Penguins didn't have very many penalties called against them in the series with the Rangers, and immediately Rick Tocchet goes to the gate here.
Well, it sure is a sign of a couple of things, Jake. First of all, Rick Tocchet is healthy. He told me today he's only 95% healthy. He had to come back in the last series from a shoulder injury. So that's one thing that it shows. Rick Tocchet is healthy enough to hit, but the other thing is he had a little bit of an adrenaline overload here early in the game. first shift, first hit, and he really wanted to take the Bruins apart, so he got a real good lick in, but he got his hands up a little high. Even with that hit, I'm surprised it was called. Andy Van Hellemond has a reputation for letting guys play, especially early in hockey games. Maybe that's not going to be the case tonight. Tocchet is off, and we see the Bruins power play.
Maybe he, too, has the adrenaline overload. But the Bruins on the power play, good on 10 of 45 chances in the first 2 rounds. They set one up here, moving it to the right point. Cross ice, and immediately trying to find Juno. He goes to the other direction. The shot into the goal mouth is turned aside and comes all the way back to the right blue line. Ted Donato. Juno. Another delayed penalty call coming. It'll be against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Boston ready to go to a 5-on-3. Now they give the puck away to Bork. And a cross-checking penalty against Larry Murphy.
Well, this is incredible. Really it is. And you can't imagine what a great advantage now has been handed to the Boston Bruins so early in this series. Game 1's always important. If you get off on the right foot, naturally you stand a good chance to carry on throughout the game. And now Larry Murphy has taken a cross-checking penalty. So he joins Rick Tocchet only 29 seconds after Tocchet went in for his charge. You know what? That's not like it. That's not a typical Larry Murphy penalty.
Nor a Pittsburgh team that was so disciplined.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. So a 5-on-3 for Boston for the next minute and 31 seconds, barring any further penalties.
I don't know what Rick Bowness is saying right now. I wish I had Ray Bork. Ray Bork is a 92nd guy on the Bruins power play. That's 3/4 of the power play. He doesn't have him, but in a 5-on-3, he should have enough.
He has Wesley and Donato at the points. This is Glenn Wesley to Donato. Donato at the top of the circle, fed Wesley, then got it right back. In a little deeper with the feed. Adam Oates quarterbacking this power play, and the shot on is turned aside by Barrasso, but the Bruins will hold it in. This is Ruzicka. Rosie Ruzicka gets it right back, shoots, missed the net. Comes back toward Wesley covering the point. Francis is the lone forward, the 2 Samuelsons on defense for Pittsburgh. Donato a drive, didn't get it on target. Now a shot from the far side by Oates is denied. Donato sets up at the left point. Looks toward Wesley. In deeper to Oates. Adam Oates for the Bruins to Ruzicka. Barrasso the save and the rebound hit the outside of the net. Now it's loose and shot wide by Juno. Walt Samuelson moves it up the boards, but not out. Here's Wesley at the point. A drive misses the net. Ruzicka he's it up in the corner with 35 seconds in the 2-man advantage. This is Oates. Looks to Juno at the side of the net. To Ruzicka in front. Back to Wesley. Played it behind. Donato is able to recover. Ted Donato into Adam Oates. To Ruzicka in the slot. Back to Oates. It slid right across the goal mouth, and the Bruins handle it again. Juno to Wesley to Juno. Juno cross ice pass, and Donato works it into Oates. Back to Donato, and a diving block by Francis, but it's held at the line.
What a save.
Great play. Here is Wesley to Donato. Donato a drive, rippled the twine outside the goal mouth, and it's centered back. One Pittsburgh player is back. That is Tocchet, the centering pass, picked off. Francis shoots it down the ice.
Well, incredible penalty killing by the Penguins, but the Bruins didn't see what they were doing. They had a triangle set up. It was a triangle with 1 man high and 2 men low. The Bruins still tried to attack low, where both guys were standing at either side of the net.
Now the final 5 seconds of the Boston power play, Bill. 3 shots on goal is what they've managed. And the teams are at full and equal strength. What a big, tremendous kill for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And a nice ovation from this capacity crowd as well.
You know, I'm not sure that Barrasso even made 1 save in that sequence.
Back to pack. Long shot just wide of Andy Moog. And the Bruins move it through center ice. There was a big hit there and a takedown, but it was allowed to go unnoticed.
It seemed as if a lot of the Bruins shots just rippled the outside of the net. Some of them squeezed between Barrasso and the post, went through the goal mouth, but when the Bruins had good chances, a couple of times they just shot wide.
And now the Pittsburgh Penguins break out 2-on-1. Brian Trottier down right wing. Troy Loney goes to the net. Trottier scores!
This is a game of emotion. It is a game of momentum, and momentum changes. After killing the 5-on-3, here come the Penguins. I think Brian Trottier fooled the whole world, including me, including Andy Moog. It looked when he pulled it back right here that he was going to pass it over to Troy Loney. Didn't even look for Loney. Zeroed in on an open spot to the stick side of Andy Moog. Zinged it home, and the man that's looking for Stanley Cup number 6. Trottier already has 5. He's looking for 6 this year. Gives the Penguins a 1-0 lead.
He may have fooled a lot of people, but not those Trottier fans who have watched him year after year, especially back with the New York Islanders. His third goal in the spring of '92, and a 1-0 Pittsburgh lead at the 3:26 mark of the opening period. And here comes Yager. Yager trying to get around the defense. Now help from Murphy, but the puck is tipped over the glass and on up into the seats. So 3:26 into the opening period, Pittsburgh has a 1-0 lead.
We're going to pick up the goal with Tom Barrasso moving it up the boards. Now the Bruins pinch in here, and they get caught pinching in. Barrasso moves it well to that side. If we stop it right here, you'll see the Boston defense pinching in right away. 2 Penguins skip right by him. Loney is one, Trottier is the other one, and here they go in a 2-on-1. Dave Poulin at the bottom of your screen is trying to catch up to Troy Loney. He decides to let him go. Here is Loney. This is the seam that Trottier can pass through. He decides not to. And a real good decision, almost at the top of the circle. That tells you how good Brian Trottier's wrist shot is. He beat Andy Moog cleanly.
Only 3 players in the history of this sport, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, and Yari Curry, have scored more Stanley Cup points than Brian Trottier. That was his 192nd. There is a chance right there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Bruins start out of the zone. Ruzicka through center ice and across the line, drops it back, and the shot never did arrive as Dave Reed had trouble handling it. Bruins keep it in the zone. Here's Steve Leach off the right side. Can't drive through. Reed got a shot. So did Ruzicka, and the puck is hand passed ahead by Phil Bourque. Up to Sean McEachran. McEachran driving on the defense. Got knocked off his skates. Rick Tockett's centering attempt is picked off. And Steve Leach moves it to Wesley, and the Bruins come to center. Wesley, a long shot. Turned aside by Barrasso. Murphy rounds the net. The Bruins going for a player change. Gord Roberts on the transition moved it to right wing to McEachran, and he dumps it in. Oh, playing it back of the net. 4.5 minutes gone in the opening period. Pittsburgh with a 1-0 lead, and they have control of the puck again in the center ice zone. Kevin Stevens. Now they feed Francis to the backhand. Can't make the play. Francis got pulled back a little bit, and there'll be a penalty here against the Boston Bruins, a hooking penalty. This will set up the first power play of the evening for the Penguins, who have a 1-0 lead.
The Pittsburgh Penguins have the top power play in this year's playoff run. And thanks to rookie Glenn Murray, who hooked Ron Francis on the play. We're going to get a look at it. We'll show you the penalty first. There is Murray reaching out. Ron Francis had a real good crack at a backhand shot. You could see that when he was hooked, he decided that he couldn't actually get the backhand away and tried for a pass. But Murray is off for hooking, so we'll see Pittsburgh's power play. We'll see the Sharp Fins.
Yeah, they're not all in San Jose, are they? Or at the Cow Palace. This was one of the big trends in Pittsburgh a year ago on their march to the Stanley Cup. Yager is on the right. Stevens on the left with Francis in the middle. Phil Bourque covering the left point. Larry Murphy on the right point. That's the setup on the Pittsburgh power play. Dave Reed and Dave Poulin are out as the penalty-killing forwards for Boston. Wesley and Gord Murphy, their defense pairings. That's Yager playing the puck around Gord Murphy, who made a nice recover and has dumped it down the ice.
It's a hard thing to do against Gord Murphy, whether he's at the offensive blue line or the defensive blue line. When he's standing still, he can pick the puck out of midair with his stick better than anybody I've ever seen.
Here is Yager trying to drive through, and look at the way the Bruins surround him, and they're able to clear the puck. First man back, Phil Bourque. One of several Boston area players playing for Pittsburgh. Gave it to Murphy. Cross-ice pass picked off. Bob Sweeney up the right side, and he scores! Short-handed goal for Bob Sweeney.
Boy, a couple of interesting situations on this goal. He was just stationary at the offensive blue line, but it was one of those, how many times we talked about the long diagonal pass? There it is. From one face-off dot, headed out diagonally the other way. Now watch Sweeney. He winds up for the shot, and you know what? He actually, I thought, took his option of getting a shot away from himself by winding up. But I think the distraction of Larry Murphy's stick and the deflection handcuffed Tom Barrasso because it looked like a knuckleball by the time it got to him. So it worked. It wasn't the best shot selection to take with the slap shot, but it sure worked because Larry Murphy deflected it.
Penguins now have given up 3 shorthanded goals in the playoffs. That's the first scored by the Bruins. In fact, Bob Sweeney's first goal in 92 playoff action. Former teammates. Back in the high school era, BARRASSO and Bob Sweeney. Still 55 seconds remaining in this Pittsburgh power play. Murphy with a pass to Stevens. Goes to the left side. It bounces off Tocchet, but the play is also offside at the Boston line.
Just like baseball, goes off and leaves the playing surface.
And you would think that Tom Barrasso is pretty well aware of Bob Sweeney's arsenal. They were high school teammates in Acton, Boxborough, Mass.
Please remain at the top.
Up in the box tonight, the owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins on the left-hand side of your picture, and in the middle, wearing the glasses, is this man's hero. That was Mario Lemieux, and you're looking at a kid who has a lot of the same moves. The Armor Yager.
Jigs, you see that move on two players? Some of the Penguins players this morning told me that Yager is better and would prefer to go down 1-on-2 instead of 1-on-1. He's better when there are two guys back.
Well, right now, how many more years will he play before he decides, no, I don't want to do it that way?
Well, as long as it works, he will probably play as many as his career allows him to play.
Once they start to catch him and bang him a little more.
Well, that's what everybody said about Gretzky and about Lemieux and about the great ones. Wait till people start catching them, but you don't catch players like that. You just don't.
Offside against the Pittsburgh Penguins as they moved into the Boston zone. How important will this man be during the series?
He has to be huge, not only in a contribution sense, but physically. It will be interesting to see how the Bruins pair up with their defensemen against the big Pittsburgh forwards. Stevens, Tocchet, Yager, Phil Bourque. Ron Francis is a big guy. I mean, when Kevin Stevens puts his mind to it, I don't think anybody can stop him from getting from point A to point B.
He is on the left side with Francis in the middle and Tocchet on the right. Still 23 seconds in this Pittsburgh power play. Rick Tocchet, 92, has put it back in the net. Moog out to play it. Got jostled around a little bit. Evan Stevens bumping him. Francis gives the puck to Stevens. He's knocked off it. Pack comes in off the left point. The pass too hot to handle. Now Tocchet centers. Francis can't get it away. Second chance. Moog the save. A scramble, and Andy Moog is able to cover the puck.
Boy, when you make penalty killers turn around quickly, they have to read something so fast that you can sneak in behind them, and it really puts them at a disadvantage. That puck moved from out front to behind. Now, as soon as it moved behind, the penalty killers had to turn around. That let Ron Francis just slip into a little hole in the slot. Tocchet dumped it out to him. And Andy Moog, through a screen, was able to make a save. Moog's vision is outstanding. Number one asset, Jigs, as you mentioned in our open, is his glove. If he's vulnerable in one area, it's up high under the crossbar because he is not big. He's 5'8", 170 pounds. He tucks back in there quite often. And even on the Brian Trottier goal, he was tucked back in. On that play, he has to hope as a defenseman and really bet on the defenseman playing the pass so he can come out and challenge. He didn't even do it against Trottier.
Now the Bruins are at full strength again after killing off the penalty. Boston in the black uniforms, clearing the puck just outside the line, and down the left side with it is Adam Oates. Cuts into the slot, dropped it back on Sweeney. Can't move through the Pittsburgh defense, and Yager recovers at center. Two men back. He drives to the right side. Yager fed it to Loney, and the drive from Hrdina went wide of the net. On Sweeney moves it up the left side. The Bruins into the center ice zone, but Hrdina reaches in to take it away from Adam Oates. Hrdina can't get through the defense at center. Yager moves it back for Paul Stanton. Into the skates of both Samuelson. Down to Troy Loney. Up the board. Yager after it. Can't get it inside the Boston zone. Adam Oates stirring it inside the Pittsburgh territory, and it's shot down the ice. And icing is waved off. Both teams in the middle of changes. We have just over 12 minutes to play in the opening period at Pittsburgh. The score tied 1-1. Gord Murphy shoots it in. It's something the Bruins have said they want to do in this series. The dump-ins must go in deep, and then they have to forecheck like the Dickens and regain control of the puck. They're forced back into the center ice area on this play. Steve Leach dumps it in, and again it's deep. Taken here by Robert. Sidesteps a hit from Bob Carpenter, and up come the Pittsburgh Penguins. Larry Murphy gets across the line. Murphy with McEachran, and now Phil Bourque moving in as well. The Bruins come up with the puck. Big hit from Phil Bourque, frees it up. Chuck Callender gets tied up. The puck throws it on the boards, and there is no further play. The score is tied 1-1 as we pause now for a regional break.
this is the kick plate, that yellow strip of board that goes around the bottom of the ice surface. Andy Moog was really intrigued by it this morning. And you take a look at these cracks right here along the boards. That's what he was looking for, and he was running the blade of his stick toe first along the boards, and he said, here in Pittsburgh, the water gets behind that yellow plate and freezes and pushes it out, and actually what happens is there are uneven seams, and he wanted to find out where they are. There's the Pittsburgh door, and he said there's an uneven seam right there, and it's very dangerous because if they're hard around, a dump in comes on that side, it can kick off the door and go right into the net. So Andy Moog's first chore today was a little bit of kick plate research here at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and he did find some flaws. So he's cautious anyway, Jigs, about coming out of the net. He's not a guy that likes to handle the puck, and he admits that he stays in the net a lot more than other goalies because he doesn't handle well. But after finding that one flaw in that door, and he is at that end for 2 periods, he won't be out very much at that end.
No, you're always looking for the little edge. Or in this case, edges along the boards or the kick plate, as you pointed out.
And the reason the water gets in behind that is the ice surface was once bigger than this in Pittsburgh, and the ice is still down there. If you stand behind that door, you're still standing on ice, so the water seems to seep in behind that yellow kick plate.
Years ago, when this building was first erected, Symphony, that's one of the reasons that the roof will open. The Symphony Under the Stars, figure skating as well. The ice surface, as you pointed out, is bigger than the 200 by 85 that is standard in the National Hockey League. Standard and routine call for icing the puck here with 11 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the opening period. The Penguins and the Bruins are tied a goal apiece. Another gorgeous day in beautiful Pittsburgh. Temperature the low 80s. Expected to cool off a little bit tomorrow as you look at the skyline of downtown Pittsburgh, PA.
Playoff weather.
Yep. Can't beat it, can you?
Can't even tie it. There are no ties in the playoffs.
Thank goodness. We're tied right now at a goal apiece. Face off in the Pittsburgh zone. Dave Poulin for the Bruins against Ron Francis of the Penguins. Rod Gauthier puts the puck in the play. The Bruins got it back to the left point. That was Wesley. Back in the net, Shell Samuelson knocks it away from Lazaro. Hack and Poulin go to the boards together. Francis reaching in, turns it the other direction. And the Bruins are forced out of the zone. Kevin Stevens leaning into Matt Hervey. Hervey, who just turned 25 yesterday, goes back looking for Stevens and then decides to leave him alone.
Gosh, Jigs, the Bruins this season not only resurrected careers with guys like Brent Hughes and Scott Arneal and Brent Ashton, but they accelerated careers. Some of the young kids. Donato and Joe Juno. Bob Sweeney, the guy you're looking at, number 20, is simply a guy that's been there, tried and true for many years in Boston. But other players had their careers resurrected by the Bruins, and other players had their careers accelerated by the Bruins.
Bruins coaching staff were raving about Bob Sweeney. Even though he didn't have a point in the series against the Montreal Canadiens, he was outstanding at everything that they asked of him. And you just saw him banging the boards, giving a piece of Ron Francis. Jim Pack frees up the puck. Kevin Stevens had a man in his face, and here's Dave Poulin with it. Poulin drops it for Bob Sweeney. Back to Poulin to the blue line. A long shot by Wesley went wide of the net. Now Jim Weimer holds it in. Weimer trying to center from the corner, got bumped. Poulin pinches in, puts the puck in front of that Pittsburgh goal, and the Penguins are able to clear it. Quickly, Pack moves it up. It's his pocket across the line with Kevin Stevens. Can't get it to Stevens. He's able to recover at the line, but now the Bruins take over again. Poulin's pass blocked by Tocchet. It's going to be called back on an offside. Tocchet making contact with it up in the air, and that imaginary line running perpendicular with the blue line.
I mentioned earlier that Rick Tocchet said today he is 95% healthy. The only thing that 5% doesn't allow him to do is take the full windup in a slap shot, because, and I was kidding about it, when he winds up, he's got to wind up just like John Daly, the golfer. I mean, he comes all the way around the top. Boy, one of the big defensive influences in this series for the Pittsburgh Penguins will definitely come from Shell Samuelson, along with Ulf Samuelson. A lot of people think that the Bruins have an easier time against the opposition in Boston Garden. I'm anxious to see the Penguins play there. Ron Francis is not a great skater. I think the building will help him. Shell Samuelson's wingspan is about boards to boards in Boston, so it won't hurt him. I don't think the small ice surface in Boston will hurt the Penguins a bit.
Find out next Thursday when the series goes to Boston. Begin games 3 and 4. There's Yager finding a check from Carpenter. Then And Donato moves it around to the far corner. And Don Sweeney tries to clear it out. It goes over the glass instead, and the clock is stopped with 9 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in this opening period. He's not the biggest of the Bruins, but he is mighty.
No, Don Sweeney is a guy that's, well, he's listed at 5'10". I'm not sure that Don Sweeney is even 5'10", but he has been a very steady Boston defenseman now for a number of years. The question is, will he be able to handle the guys that I mentioned earlier? Tocchet, Loney, Stevens. In this case, it was Loney that took him to the boards. But they will have their hands full, the Boston defensemen will. And Rick Bowness knows it. Yesterday, he told me that he thought the Pittsburgh Penguins had an advantage in the experience department on defense.
I think he's probably right. That'll change a little bit when Ray Bourque gets into the lineup.
No question.
Now Weimer reaches in, takes the puck for the Bruins, moves it up the boards, but not out. Roberts with a long shot, turned aside by Moog, and a big rebound handled by Jeff Lazaro. Lazaro shoots it down the ice. Roberts chases it back, and we'll get an icing call against the Boston Bruins. Still 9 minutes remaining in the opening period. Trottier for Pittsburgh, Bob Sweeney for Boston. 1-1 is the score. Face-off coming in the circle to the left of Andy Moog will feature Brian Trottier with Yager on the right and Loney on the left for Pittsburgh. Dave Poulin will take the draw for Boston, so we've got a pair of 19s here. And some tremendous experience on the part of these two center icemen. Trottier won the draw, and then Poulin reached around and took the puck. And the Bruins, Jim Weimer moves it up and out of the zone, and only to have it picked off by Jaromir Jagr. Jagr back to Roberts. Right side, Roy Loney on his off wing, dumps it in. Trottier races it after it as the puck got away from Moog. Trottier put it in the slot. Roberts pinching in, only to have it knocked away, and the Penguins recovered at center ice. Peter Duras moved up to forecheck along with Lazaro, but now Loney brings it across the Boston line. Got it right back from Trottier, and then was checked by Weimer. Jagr driving to the corner. Trottier over on that side of the ice as well. Lazaro clears it out and down into the Pittsburgh zone. This will result in another icing call. Interesting that Rick Bowness has Jeff Lazaro out there every time Jaromir Jagr is on the ice for Pittsburgh.
Well, you know, I really think that that's Rick Bowness's second choice. His first choice would be having Ray Bourque out on the ice playing left defense, which is not Bourque's usual side, when Jagr is out there on right wing. Bourque not in the lineup, so his second choice is having Jeff Lazaro, number 14 of the Bruins, try and pick up Jagr when the Bruins lose the puck. But he also has Glenn Wesley on the ice as much as he can on the left side when Jagr is out there. One man cannot do it when a guy like Jagr is on fire, and he really has been in the playoffs.
You saw the sign, you can't check our Jagr. Nice spelling.
You know, at the beginning of the season, he weighed less than he did at the end of last season. Coaches were telling me today that the Czechoslovakian national team really kind of beat him up and worked him to death. And not only that, he took so much heat in the newspapers in Czechoslovakia for his play in the Canada Cup. And that's what I'm talking about, the Czech, not the national team, but the Canada Cup team that they put into the tournament. The press at home gave him such a rough time that he came to camp very down emotionally and down physically. And it took him half a season to work on lifting weights, to eat the right foods, to build himself back up. He is bigger now and stronger now than he was at the start of the season.
And he ran into that 10-game suspension as well that didn't do anything to help him.
That's for sure.
You saw that he was having a skate attended to by Steve Lattin, the equipment manager for the Penguins. Here to have lost an edge. Kevin Stevens is out with Francis and McEachran just now. That's the Pittsburgh forward line. Adam Oates. Goes Joey Jeannot. Glenn Murray out there as well for the Boston Bruins. Stevens with an outlet into the center ice area. The defenseman moving up is Stanton. Stanton gets tied up by Jeannot. And the puck cleared around the boards, but right to Kevin Stevens. Stevens tried to center. That was cleared aside, and up come the Boston Bruins. Through center ice. Joey Jeannot put it in front. BARRASSO plays it to the right side, and Sean McEachran gets it out of the zone. Penguins unable to recover at center. Jeannot got checked. Ulf Samuelsson, who didn't play any of the regular season games, 3 of them against Pittsburgh this year, goes to the left side, and the Penguins move out of the zone. Here's McEachran. McEachran trying to get the defense back in. Pulls up, centered it. Ulf Samuelsson was there, but so was Jim Weimer. Weimer, the Bruin defenseman, with an outlet quickly through center ice. Glenn Murray goes cross ice. Long shot by Jeannot, handled by BARRASSO, and there's no further play. 7 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the opening period at Pittsburgh.
Four seats, all filled. I want to show you a seat that's empty. It's the seat that is owned by Bud Crowell. He came to this game from Philadelphia. He's an off-ice official. He's only 6 inches off the floor here. He's the goal judge for this game, and it's not as good a location as you'll find in some of the other rinks. Every rink's a little bit different. Bud says he's about a foot lower here to watch the game and make decisions on goals than he is in Philadelphia. For that reason, he can't sit in this seat. He stands. Guys?
Oh, what a terrible way to spend a Sunday night, huh?
Oh, I talked to Bud before the game. He's happy.
And just to be here is a thrill. 7 minutes remaining in this opening period as the Bruins have dumped the puck in. Jim Pack back for it. He gets knocked into the boards heavily, and up with it is Phil Bourque. Long pass. This is Puck. And it's being called back. That will be an offside.
Well, one of the things the Penguins are going to have to do is read the situation out on the ice. Watch Kevin Stevens. He makes a long up-ice pass to center, but watch how the Bruins get back very quickly.
Special welcome tonight to National Record.
Once Stevens moves it up to the middle of the ice, the Bruins are scrambling back. Now, by the time the Penguins get the puck here and move it across, we'll stop right here and show you this. Look at the Bruins in here. 4 Bruins defending, 3 Penguins in a triangle. This is the read the Penguins have to make. Get it in deep. Watch, they don't get it in deep. They have it pulled off their stick, so even at the blue line, Paul Stanton was trying to make a play. The Bruins got it out of their zone pretty easily.
Boston Bruins being very physical. Big hit on Jim Pack a moment ago. Pack regarded as a rookie, although he played in the Stanley Cup playoffs and briefly toward the end of the season a year ago. Peter Duras pinching in on the right wing boards along with Ted Donato. Duras up with the puck, and his shot went off the heel of his stick. Now Duras looks for somebody in the slot. Carpenter calling for it. Duras was well covered by Murphy, then slipped away. Peter Duras, a backhander into the goal mouth. They score! The Boston Bruins take a 2-1 lead on a goal from Ted Donato.
Right place at the right time, but Ted Donato, the Harvard grad, has made a career out of doing that. At Harvard, he had a nickname. It was Prime Time Player because he really is a good clutch man. Peter Duras picked up his own rebound, kept this whole thing alive. Boy, that's great work in the corner. Lost the Penguins defenseman, soloed all the way around the net with Jock Callender hanging all over him. But I'll tell you what, the Penguins double committed to Peter Duras and left Ted Donato wide open at the backside of the net. Duras knew he was there, made a nice backhand pass to him, and the Bruins have taken a 2-1 lead. Nice play.
Donato from Duras at the 13:35 mark. Ted Donato's 3rd goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So Boston is on top, 2-1. Ward Roberts cross-ice pass. Just out of the reach of the forward moving in on that play. Dave Mikhailuk. Callender, Needham, and Mikhailuk out together. This is the unit called up from Muskegon of the International Hockey League after they've been eliminated. Well, in fact, a couple of them were here prior to their elimination by Kansas City. Bruins clad in black. Donato drops the puck back into his own zone, and it's picked up by Weimer. Over to Don Sweeney, but picked off. Mikhailuk looks for somebody in front. Centers, they score! Jock Callender.
You've got to respect Scotty Bowman's decision. Callender was on the ice when Donato scored. He could have pulled him off. He left him out, and this guy, Dave Mikhailuk from the corner, saw him, and even with a slight deflection, Callender was able to get the puck by Andy Moog. These guys both got over 100 points in the International League in Muskegon as line mates. They know each other very well. That's why Bowman has kept them together, and it paid off here. Mikhailuk to Callender, and a 2-2 game.
Following the same script as Game 1 in the Campbell Conference. Edmonton and Chicago seesawed through the first period, and then Chicago turned out the lights early in the second period last night. We've got the same kind of script going here in Pittsburgh in Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship. 2-2 now with just a little more than 5 minutes to play in the opening period, and the puck is tipped out of play and on into the Pittsburgh players' bench. So Pittsburgh takes the lead. Boston ties it. Boston goes ahead, then Pittsburgh ties it. Jock Callender at the bench, and here's his goal, Bill.
You know, you don't know where your line mate is if you haven't played with them all season. And Scotty Bowman has decided to keep Mike Needham, the guy that just came over to congratulate Jock Callender, on his right side, and Dave McCulloch on his left side. I'm not sure he had a choice. He could break them up, but he made the smart move. He has left them together, and that was just a look at chemistry. That's all that goal was.
Couple of 30-year-old career minor leaguers. Jock Callender and Dave McCulloch combining on that goal for Scotty Bowman's Pittsburgh Penguins. 18 years Scotty has had a team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is his 200th Stanley Cup playoff game that he's coaching tonight, Bill. That's experience, isn't it?
You bet. And now Dave McCulloch doesn't turn 30 until midnight tonight, so cut him a break on that. He's a 30-year-old rookie that's not really a rookie. He's played 14 games in the NHL in the early 80s with the Flyers. But because he is over 25, he is not a rookie any longer. Once you hit 26, you're no longer a rookie.
A couple of pretty good line mates back in his Philadelphia years, too, didn't he?
Not bad. His last line mates in the NHL before coming up a couple of games ago were Bobby Clark and Darryl Sittler.
Both have been retired forever. No, just kidding. Ryan Trottier centering the puck. He comes back toward the line. Shell Samuelson had pinched in, and the Bruins have a 2-on-1 break. Here's Bob Sweeney to Dave Poulin. To Sweeney, shoots. Barrasso the save, and the rebound went wide. Poulin sets it up. Barrasso still not up in his skates. The Penguins fail to clear the zone. Puck loose back of the net. Bob Sweeney gets to it. Sweeney to Poulin, and a shot turned aside, and Barrasso is hurting. Tom Barrasso slow to get back up after making that stop. Yager outside the zone with a pass to Brian Trottier. Trottier dumps it in from the point, and he got belted from behind. The crowd roaring. The Bruins up with the puck. Quick handling into the center ice area was Glenn Wesley, and he was pulled down. Then Francis has a pass picked off. Joey Junot. They try to set something up here. Wesley shot blocked by Barrasso, and Phil Bourque moves it up ahead. Here's Paul Stanton, right side to Francis. Francis trying to drive around Junot. Can't center it. Francis gets through it again and lost it. Joey Junot turns it over, however, and the Pittsburgh Penguins play it back in the net. Phil Bourque on it. He gets checked, and the Bruins dump it out through center ice. Coming back in the puck is Tocchet. He gives it to Francis. Off his stick to Bourque. And that will be called back. Murphy got the stick up on Bourque. Referee Andy Van Helleman pointing here.
You know, Jigs, one thing is a given. If you make it to the Final Four in the NHL, you have to have had excellent goaltending. Andy Moog has been sensational all season long. On this play, Yager crosses. He has Trottier, but he decides to go wide. Puck just caroms off the board, but look at Trottier over there to get it and then to dump it in front. Finally, the Bruins are able to break away. And we're going to see Tom Barrasso at his best. 6'3", 210 pounds, still very quick. Sweeney to Poulin, back to Sweeney. And one thing that people underestimate is Tom Barrasso's size, even when he's down. And that's the play we think he hurt himself on. That net is only 4 feet high and 6 feet wide, and it's 6'3", 210 pounds with all of the gear. Even when Barrasso is down, he covers a lot of it. Sweeney couldn't get it over him and find the top of the net. 2 saves on that series, the first one on Sweeney and the second one on Poulin. He may have hurt it on the Sweeney shot, but he definitely looked like he was in pain on that Dave Poulin shot, but it wasn't a hard one.
He has faced 11 shots from the Boston Bruins, and now Rick Tocchet is in the, or excuse me, Phil Bourque is off for roughing at the 16:24 mark. Bourque got mixed up in that exchange at the players' benches, drew the only penalty. Earlier in the period, Pittsburgh was 2 men short. Tocchet just tumbled to the deck, and the crowd thought there should have been a penalty there. You heard their obvious booing and hissing in the background. Barrasso moves the puck up the boards, didn't get it out of the zone. The Bruins on the power play. Long shot. Barrasso the save, and he's slow getting up again. Tom Barrasso favoring his right leg now, Bill.
No question. At what point is he going to pull the plug? I mean, he is... if he doesn't do something quickly, Jigs, he may cost his team here. Now, he's got to be brave and he's got to be a hero at the same time, I guess, but he's got to use good judgment here.
Ruzicka trying to set up the Bruins power play. The pass was behind Carpenter, and out comes Sean McEachran. He has speed and shows it here. Pulled back a little, and Loney driving to the net. Now Loney peels off to the corner to recover the puck. Troy Loney with a couple of Bruins trying to jab it away from him. Adam Oates frees it up, and Ruzicka starts out. 53 seconds of the Boston power play. Ruzicka's long shot went wide. Driving it after it here, Glenn Murray. Penguins up with it, however. Troy Loney unable to get it around Oates, who's pinched in off the point. Into the corner for Jeannot. Joey Jeannot back to the line for Oates, and it jumped over his stick. Adam Oates recovers with half a minute in the Boston power play. 2-2 is the score. 2 minutes remaining in the opening period at Pittsburgh. Jim Pack right around the boards. Came to the line. Oates has to play it outside the line, and it's picked off. Here they come. Herdina with a break, trying to get around Oates, and it's jabbed off his stick by Oates. Andy Mold plays it up the boards, and the Bruins come through center ice. Glenn Murray led the rush. Murray drives to the net. They tried to get it back, but Reed couldn't complete the pass, and it's cleared out by Gordy Roberts. That will kill off the penalty against Phil Bourque. Pittsburgh penalty killing has been excellent. The big concern here is Tom Barrasso. The Bruins didn't really test him on that power play, but now Jeannot is over the line here on the right side. Jeannot, number 49, got checked. Murphy held it in at the point. Knocked down heavily, and the play was Dave Reed, and the Bruins recovered in the center iso. Gord Murphy just dumps it back into the Pittsburgh end of the ice.
I just watched Tom Barrasso fall down when Peter Duras banged into him. He got back up, and he looks like he's better than he was a couple of minutes ago. Perhaps it's not a muscle pull at all. Perhaps he just took a good hit. That's something that just takes a few minutes to go away. The pain goes away from the hit. It doesn't from a pulled muscle or a torn ligament.
His backup goaltender, by the way, is Ken Regan, the former Philadelphia Flyer netminder. John Lemelin is the backup for the Boston Bruins. Here's Trache, who scored the opening goal tonight, to Yager. Tips it outside the line. Over went Murphy as Kevin Stevens plays it up the board. Trache couldn't get to it in the Pittsburgh zone. Stanton brought it in, a delayed offside situation here, giving the Bruins a chance to clear it out, and Murphy does, skying one high in the air that hit the scoreboard. We're late in the opening period. 2-2 is the score at Pittsburgh.
Tom Barrasso must have gotten word to the bench that he is all right. He seems to be flexing his leg. But on a Sweeney Poulin attack about 5 minutes ago, he appeared to be hurt. This is a little later with Peter Duras, and he got a jab there, didn't he? He got a spear. That's why he went down, but it was when I was watching him get up after that play that he looked like he was all right again.
Play underway here again as the Penguins have dumped it in. And the Bruins try to move it out. And do. Dave Poulin down the left side. Got ridden off the puck by Trache. Poulin recovered. Gave it to Bob Sweeney, who dumps it in. Barrasso moves out of the net, but Paul Stanton will play the puck. Into the corner for Phil Bourque. Not enough time to go anywhere. There's the horn to end this first period. So at the end of one, 2-2 is the score between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins. Here's Bob Papa.
Thank you very much, Jigs. Here's what we have for you in between periods. We'll bring you highlights of period number one. We'll take you back to last night's win by the Chicago Blackhawks over the Edmonton Oilers. And after this timeout, Mike Emmerich talks with Ron Francis of the Pittsburgh Penguins. All that and more after this on Sports Channel America.
The Steel City and the smelting plants that made it famous along the Monongahela and the Allegheny that form the Ohio. The city of Pittsburgh, where the Penguins and the Boston Bruins are tied at 2 at the end of the first 20 minutes. Brian Trache unassisted at 3:26. Then it was Bob Sweeney unassisted and shorthanded at 5:40, tying the game. Boston went ahead on a goal by Olympian Ted Donato from Peter Duras at 13:35, and Jacques Callender from Dave Mikhailuk at 14:22. The line from Muskegon click. Shots on goal, 12-5. Boston with the advantage in the first period of play. I think if you were to ask anyone in this Steel City what the turning point was in the series that got them this far, it would be Ron Francis getting a hat trick in Game 4. That evened the series with the New York Rangers at 2 games apiece. Ron Francis with a big diving poke here early in the game that really helped kill off a 5-on-3. Bill Clement remarked, and I did too at the time, I was thinking, gosh, Andy Van Hellemond tends to not call that many penalties, and all of a sudden in the first 45 seconds you're short 5-on-3. That must have been a shock.
Well, it's kind of a tough way to start a hockey game. You want to get out there and kind of get into a little bit of flow, and you get a penalty right into the start of the first period, and then we have to go 5-on-3, and it takes a lot out of you early, and not only that, it keeps a lot of the guys that are usually out there at that point of the game on the bench and then a little colder.
Oh, you were a highly productive player for this Pittsburgh team when they won the championship last year, an important player to them. Do important guys play even more important when they have to fill in for a guy like Mario Lemieux?
Well, certainly I don't think one or two guys is going to replace Mario Lemieux or Joey Mullen. I mean, they're a big part of our offense. They scored a lot of goals and a lot of points for us this year. And, you know, we just all said that we all have to pick up our game a notch, and we're going to take 20 guys working hard every night to be successful. And certainly my role is a little bit different when Mario's in the lineup than out of the lineup. And, you know, I was one of the guys that was needed to step forward.
Just to crank our memories back to that last series, was there a point when you felt, yeah, we've got the Rangers now, we've got the best team overall in the regular season?
I don't know if we ever had a point where we felt that. I think that, you know, if there was a turning point, if you want to call that, I thought it was here in Game 4 where they had us 4-2 and they had a 5-minute major, and you know, if they score on that, it's basically over and done with. We're down 3-1 heading back into their building, but we were able to kill that off. We were able to come back and score 2 quick goals right after that and win it in overtime, and that seemed to turn it around for us.
Well, all of Pittsburgh is saying bravo for your efforts so far, and all the best to you as this series develops.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Ron Francis, our guest here between periods. Bob Papa will be along shortly to talk about that Chicago series going on with the Edmonton Oilers as our coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel continues. Let's pause for this regional break.
To our New York studios, everybody. Boston and Pittsburgh tied at 2 at the end of 1 period of play. Well, this afternoon, Chicago Stadium was rocking as the Chicago Bulls knocked off the New York Knicks. Last night, it was rocking as well. The Blackhawks and Edmonton Oilers squaring off in game number 1 of the Campbell Conference Championship, a rematch of the series 2 years ago. And hitting right off the bat, Igor Kravchuk on Edmonton's Scott Mellenby as he sends Mellenby to the ice. But Edmonton strikes back. Watch Joe Murphy, a flagrant cross-check to the back of Kravchuk's neck. The end result pretty obvious. A clean, hard-hit results in Chicago's first goal. You see the hit at the top of your screen. Steve Larmer flattens Joe Murphy. Stefan Matteau picks up the puck. Jeremy Roenick over to Larmer. There's the goal. 1-0 Chicago. That lead doesn't last long, though. Dave Manson with the blast from the top of the left circle beats his former teammates. We are tied up at 1 apiece. Chicago will regain the lead. Jeremy Roenick with the individual effort. He spins and scores. The Hawks take a 2-1 lead. 27 seconds later, the Oilers tie it again. Craig McTavish with the wraparound, and Belfour can't control the puck. We are tied up at 2. Second period, the Hawks go on a scoring binge. First, it's Rob Brown over to Mike Peluso, his first ever playoff goal, 3-2 Hawks. 29 seconds later, it'll be Steve Larmer on a pretty pass to Jeremy Roenick. Look at it right there, 4-2 Chicago. Don't blink, because Chicago scores again. On the power play, Steve Smith winds and fires. 3 goals in 1 minute and 26 seconds. The Hawks go on to win Game 1. The final score, 8-2 at Chicago Stadium in Game 2 of the Campbell Conference Championship. Tomorrow evening here on Sports Channel America, 8:30 the start time. The Edmonton Oilers and Chicago Blackhawks from the Madhouse on Madison. Well, when we come back, we'll bring you highlights of period number 1 of the Wales Conference Championship. But as we take this time out, let's take a look at the playoff scoring leaders brought to you by Air Canada. We now pause for a regional break. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff action on Sports Channel America is being brought to you by Subaru with all-wheel drive. Subaru is truly what to drive. By Air Canada, it's a welcome departure. And by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement.
Set for the second period at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. The score tied 2-2. The Bruins to the right, the Penguins to the left. Trache on the face-off for Pittsburgh against Dave Poulin of Boston, and the Penguins move the puck into the Boston zone. The Bruins tighten up, and here's Dave Poulin with it. Poulin hounded by Troy Loney. Poulin able to dump it in, and the Bruins make an immediate change as Paul Stanton goes back of the net. Stanton, another of the Boston area products, playing for Pittsburgh. Cross-ice pass. Yager let it go. Now gets to it. Yager to Loney, and he's checked right at the blue line. Don Sweeney moves it back into the Pittsburgh zone. Stanton chases it with Grzyzicka coming in on him. Penguins playing out around the boards and all the way down into the Boston zone. A race for it. Don Sweeney will beat Yager to the puck. Sweeney moved it up the boards. The Bruins try to move up on that same side of the ice, only to have Pack take it away and shoot it back in. Once again, they move out. Steve Leach. Pass to Ruzicka. He gets checked. Now Wesley steps over center ice. And Wesley dumps it in, and the Bruins continue a player change as Brian Trottier goes for the puck. We're a minute into the second period at Pittsburgh. Roy Loney across the Boston line. Snaps one that went wide of Andy Moog. Moog able to turn it up ahead here, and Jim Weimer tries a cross-ice pass to Steve Leach. He got checked by Pack. Kevin Stevens drops back. Now Weimer steps over center on into the Pittsburgh zone. The rushing defenseman here with a backhander. Glove save by Barrasso. Held it, then a bit of a collision with Dave Reed. Well, between periods, Mike Emmering had an opportunity to talk with Barry Smith, the assistant coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Assistant coach Barry Smith has joined us here between periods. First of all, our concern is about Tom Barrasso's health. How is he?
Tom will be all right. He caught a stick, so it's sore right now, but he'll be fine. He's a competitor. He'll come back out second period. He's got ice on it, but he'll be okay.
Did this first period start surprise you?
Well, both teams were tentative. We didn't know what to expect from the Boston Bruins. They didn't know what to expect from us because there's new teams playing here. We don't really know each other as well as possibly teams in our own division. And we started out, we've had a couple days off. They've had a couple days off. We were a little bit, didn't want to make mistakes, hold back a little bit more, didn't get the puck to the net as much as we wanted to. So I think the second period you'll see us shoot a little bit more and go after rebounds, a little bit more drive offensively.
Thanks, good luck.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, these teams will get to know one another very quickly. Interesting cat and mouse at the beginning of the second period. Scotty Bowman would not put any players on the ice until Rick Bowness put his 5 guys out to start the second period. He is trying to get away, Scotty Bowman is, from a matchup. He does not want Yager out there against Jeff Lazaro. That's why the Bruins made the quick change as soon as the puck was dropped, because they also want Lazaro out there against Yager.
Right now, the Penguins have Francis, McEachran, and Stevens out on the ice. This is Francis centering pass, and they couldn't relay it to McEachran in time. John McEachran driving back of the net, got away from Reed, centered in front. Francis put it on target. Moog to save. Another shot gets through, and another one is blocked, and another. And now a delayed penalty to be signaled. The Bruins go for the puck as Poulin gets to it. Boston will be shorthanded. A holding penalty on Gord Murphy. What action on the part of Andy Moog, and the chances for the Pittsburgh Penguins were amazing.
Well, he had to be terrific. But we talked about the Penguins' size. Look at Kevin Stevens, barges way to the net, and then Ron Francis is simply too strong for Gord Murphy. Gord Murphy pulls him down and will go off for the interference call. But Andy Moog, 2 tremendous stops. He is not nearly as big as Tom Barrasso when he's standing. He's not nearly as big when he is down. But the little guy was flailing away, and he was able to get a piece of at least 2 of those shots. But the Penguins will go back on the power play, and this is something that we mentioned earlier. The Penguins' size up front, and can guys like Gord Murphy and Don Sweeney and Glenn Wesley cope with it? And can Andy Moog stand tall enough to stop them when they get in front? He sure did on this sequence. And Sean McEachran has speed that is underrated. People are going to start hearing about Sean McEachran very quickly. Quickness in the corners, good straightaway speed. He made this whole play happen with that little twisting movement in the corner.
Doesn't get much better than that. No, you're right. When you talk about McEachran, the other thing to keep in mind is his shot. He has got a laser beam when he gets in the leg.
Yeah, and he played 15 regular season games, and he played over 10 playoff games with the Penguins, but it's interesting, he only scored his first goal in the last game they played, knocking out the New York Rangers. If they get him going, he'll just be one more component that the Bruins will have to worry about.
Bruins have a penalty to kill here. Gord Murphy off for holding just prior to the 2-minute mark of the second period.
And I say it's interesting that it took Sean McEachran that long to score, because he came to the Penguins as a scorer out of BU and out of the U.S. Olympic team.
Some concern that he maybe got caught up in having signed a contract and looking ahead to his pro career when he was over in France. And his first one was a big one, and now the Penguins look for one more here on the power play. It's broken up at the line, and Larry Murphy goes cross ice to Kevin Stevens. Stevens trying to get it to Phil Bourque. It was tipped. Bourque goes in after it. Shoulder to shoulder with Don Sweeney and Jim Weimer, the Boston defenseman, moved it up the boards. Held in by Francis to Tocchet in front to Stevens. Checked by Poulin. Now Murphy comes to the right wing boards and dumps it back to the net. Jim Weimer trying to play it through traffic. Knocks it away from Francis, but Murphy is tight on the right wing board. Larry Murphy at his pass, tipped out of the zone by Reed. Less than a minute remaining in Gord Murphy's holding penalty. We have a Larry Murphy with Pittsburgh, and Gord Murphy, also the defenseman, playing with Boston. Pittsburgh power play having trouble getting out of its own zone, aren't they?
And 2 Samuelsons, and wait till Rayborg comes back to go with Phil.
Francis over the line, draped on the boards. Good check thrown by Glenn Wesley. Francis trying to recover. He and Stevens battled for it. And a big hit. Down went Francis. Off will go a Boston Bruin. Cross-checking penalty. 29 seconds still in the first Boston penalty. Francis just now getting back up on his skates as the Penguins have a big chance coming up.
You really have to learn from the tone that a referee sets at the beginning of a hockey game. Andy Van Hellemond served notice early, Jakes, in this one that he would call penalties even if a team was down a man. He did it to Pittsburgh, and he has done it now to the Boston Bruins. You have to call that. 4 feet from the boards, from behind, a cross-check into the small of the back. Ron Francis went down head first. Bob Sweeney went to the box. Scotty Bowman's got a golden opportunity here to take the lead. They've got a 5-on-3 that will last 29 seconds.
Murphy in the middle, Yager on the right, Stevens on the left. The left point, he and Larry Murphy. Cross ice, Murphy gives it to Francis. Top of the circle, in deeper. Slipped away from Yager and is shot down the ice by Dave Poulin. We talk about the quickness and the youth that's been inserted into the Boston lineup. Let's not overlook the return of Dave Poulin, a veteran who missed 60-some games through injury this year. Now the Penguins have Yager right in front, and he shot it wide. Wow. Now out of the corner, Larry Murphy with a drive. That missed the net, and the Bruins are only one man short. Francis can't pinch to the boards in time, and it's cleared out by Boston. Barrasso out of the net, tees it up for Larry Murphy. Yager turns and goes up the left wing boards, accepts the pass. Stick handling through center, Petrache. Back to Yager. Petrache, but now a late whistle. And an offside appears to be the call.
I'm not sure, Jigs. I thought it was Andy Van Hellemond that blew the whistle, and he's pointing to the bench. Perhaps he spotted a too many men penalty. Kevin Stevens led this rush through the neutral zone, and he was going full speed, but boy, did that stop when he came to Glenn Wesley. Wesley is the biggest Bruins defenseman in uniform, and he will use it. He's had an outstanding season, and he has played more aggressively this year than in the past. But look at this. 2 Penguins alone in front. Jaromir Jagr elected to shoot instead of passing to Larry Murphy, and he missed by a hair. But a good takeout by Glenn Wesley against a much bigger man. Wesley just tips the scale barely at 200. Stevens at 225. And with Yuri Hrdina headed to the penalty box, I imagine that's perhaps what Andy Van Hellemond saw as a too-many-men call.
Yeah, exactly right. So it'll be 4-on-4 hockey. Bob Sweeney still sitting on a cross-checking penalty when Scotty Bowman was out making a change. Got too many men out there. Gord Murphy, the Boston defenseman, will pass to the right side. Steve Leach heading to the left, dumps it in. Hard hit. Leach and Stanton. Well, Samuelson back to the puck. Around to Yager. Jaromir Jagr. To the right side, but behind Stanton, who gets to it now, sends Yager into the clear. Gord Murphy right on him. Loeb slipped as he came out of the net. Yager puts the puck in front. That's turned aside. Weaver has moved it around to the near side, and the Bruins. And that cross-ice pass, Murphy got it to Weaver. Drops it to Ruzicka. Went to center, one that tipped through in front of the Penguin goal and recovered by Yager. The outlet, and a good one to Samuelson. Now to Bork on right wing. Phil Bork shot is kicked out. Good pad save by Andy Moe. Yager trying to get away from Weimer. Look at the strength of Yager. Goes to the corner, tipped the puck, but Leach was there. Around to Gord Murphy. Loney bumps him, and the puck ends up in center ice. In 7 seconds, the Boston Bruins will have a 50-second power play. Clock stopped here after that 2-line pass is called against Pittsburgh.
Well, there wasn't any question. Andy Van Hellemond spotted too many men on the ice. If you connect the dots and start with the Penguins, there's 1 dot, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop. There's 6. No question about that one. It's interesting, most of the time the linesmen see that one. Andy Van Hellemond is on top of his game. He spotted that one from, gosh, way over the far blue line.
So the Boston power play coming up in about 5 seconds' time. The Penguin coaching staff has sent out Shel Samuelson along with Troy Loney, Sean McEachran. Jim Pack is on the ice.
Usually when those too many men penalties happen, it's simply a miscommunication on the bench. Your coach will say you're up. Sometimes the coach makes a mistake and picks another guy and doesn't tell you to hold back. Sometimes you don't hear him clearly, but it's almost always a problem with verbal communication, nothing more.
Well, the Bruins will try to set something up here with the extra man. 40 seconds in their power play, but they'll have to start it from back inside their own blue line. Boston has had only one shot on goal through the first 5.5 minutes of the second period. The Penguins, on the other hand, have had 5, as many as they had through the entire first 20 minutes of the game. Joey Junot changed the pronunciation of his name. Wants that Joey in there. And Junot picks up the puck again. Junot, French-Canadian descent, gets checked in the far corner. 3 Bruins over on that corner of the ice. Junot with it. Plays it back to the point. Setting up here is Ted Donato. Junot comes off the boards. Fakes, then fires one. Pad saved by Barrasso, and Loney clears it out to center. And here's a breakaway for Hrdina. Coming right in on Moog to the backhand. Beaten by Andy Moog. Wow.
Well, I haven't seen Yuri Hrdina play for the last 50 games, at least consistently, but it has been over 50 games since Hrdina has scored. He's got to be talking to himself right now. Why, we expected tremendous goaltending, and that's what we've gotten. Joey Junot with a big slapper on Tom Barrasso. The Bruins couldn't get to it, and when the rebound was slapped out, bounced over a stick at the blue line, you really have to play that puck with your glove, knowing the guy's coming out of the box. And Hrdina tried to get it up high. I don't think he got it up quite high enough. And Andy Moog was able to smother it. Ted Donato was back on the point for the Bruins, but when you hear your goaltender slapping his stick on the ice, which is a signal the guy is coming out of the box behind you, you can't play a rolling puck with your stick. You've got to get down into the shortstop position.
Donato get back just in time to get the lumber on Hrdina, too.
Yeah, and he kept the lumber low.
Bob Carpenter with 2 men back. Dumps it in for the Bruins. Doris moving in on the right side. The puck comes to the other direction and is cleared out of the zone by Rick Tocchet. Bounces around inside that Boston zone. Gord Murphy clears it up right wing, and here's Dave Poulin. Poulin drops it back. Bruins step over the line. Duras left it for Poulin. Into the corner for Peter Duras. Put it in front for Carpenter, and he couldn't handle it. Now the Penguins get a chance to move out. 2-on-1. Murphy quickly through center ice. Larry Murphy is checked. Nice sweep by Hines. Gord Hines, the defenseman. Right on the Canadian Olympic team. The puck is dumped in. Immediately, the Penguins move it out toward Larry Murphy. All the goal scoring came in the opening period. 2-2 is the score at Pittsburgh. The Boston Bruins turn the puck over in their own zone. Tocchet in front to Stevens. Long shot. Andy Moog has it, and there's no further play. A little stick work going on. Some skirmish. Pushed aside here by the linesmen, Bonnie and Gauthier. 2-2 at Pittsburgh as we pause for a regional break. Years and still going strong. The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service is celebrating the Big 5-0 this year, and this game, like so many others before it, is being transmitted live to U.S. servicemen and women around the globe. Happy birthday, Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. Biggs McDonald with Bill Clement and Mike Emmerich in Pittsburgh. 2-2 is the score, and Yager came within 1.5 feet of making it 3-2 Pittsburgh. He missed the net by that much. He missed the net earlier in this period. Now the Bruins have an opportunity, and a shot is turned aside by Tom Barrasso as Steve Leach was beaten. And the Bruins come right back in. Ruzicka is knocked off his skates, and there will be a penalty against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a holding call on Paul Stanton. Chance at one end, and then it develops into a chance at the other end.
You know, Jigs, I think a lot of people felt that this would simply be a series involving Pittsburgh's offense against Buffalo's defense. Well, I'll tell you what, or at least Boston's defense. Boston's offense is better than a lot of people think. Steve Leach had to pick that puck up on his skate, and that's why he couldn't get it by Tom Barrasso. Look, Phil Borg with another pass. The Penguins have tried so many ill-advised diagonal passers coming out of their zone. That's really why Stanton had to get back there and hook Ruzicka, because Phil Borg tried a pass that really was a dangerous pass. The Penguins are trying low percentage plays. They got one cut in the first period when Bob Sweeney scored. Paul Stanton was forced into that one. And while Rick Bowness's Bruins are better offensively than a lot of people think, and this only happened in the last month and a half since getting a lot of his kids from the Olympic programs of Canada and the United States, Pittsburgh is a better defensive team than a lot of people give them credit for. They are capable of playing solid defense when they put their minds to it. They proved it against Washington and also the New York Rangers.
Now the Bruins with a bad advantage. This is their 5th power play of the game. They started from deep in their own zone after the Penguins had cleared it. This is Adam Oates. Oates acquired from the St. Louis Blues, looks toward Wesley, then he likes to carry it over center and dump it in. Barrasso out of the net. Plays it up the boards. The Bruins flood this side of the ice, but the Penguins come away with the puck. Ron Francis tumbles into the boards heavily. Reached back, and his teammate, Old Samuelson, has dumped it down into the Boston zone. Francis coming off for a rest. So is Tocchet. That shows McEachran and Loney as the penalty killers for Pittsburgh. The Bruins send Reed into forecheck. Dave Reed takes a hard hit. Puck ends up in the corner. McEachran after it. On McEachran. Ties it out through center ice. Oates knocks it down. Oates and Wesley. Wesley plays it back into the zone. Under a minute remaining in this Boston power play. They get them out in attack on Tom Barrasso or the Penguins. Adam Oates, cross ice. This is Glenn Wesley. Back to Oates. Oates over center ice. Gave it to Jeannot. Joey Jeannot. Tied up by McEachran. The puck came back to Ted Donato. Donato to Jeannot. Cross ice pass. Leach feeds it back. Donato to Jeannot. Jeannot again cross ice. Leach lets it go. Barrasso has it and clears it aside for Loney. Only Loney able to dump it down the ice. Andy Moog out to play it. 20 seconds left in this Boston power play. The game tied 2-2 at Pittsburgh. Ted Donato up the slot. The puck knocked off his stick. Donato able to recover. Worked it in a little deeper. Donato tight on the left wing boards. The Bruins come around that direction, but it's Adam Oates with the puck. Oates turns back from Trottier. Head the puck to the line. Gord Murphy with a drive. Barrasso got a chunk of that, and the teams are at 6 aside again. Jeannot puts it back to the Pittsburgh goal. It's jabbed away by Barrasso, recovered by Trottier. Now to Stanton. 2 men back for Boston. Stanton to Trottier. Trottier driving on Weimer. Tries to cut through the defense. Couldn't get to the net, and the Penguins are forced out to center. Back for it is Murphy. Ward Roberts. His pass on the stick of Stevens. The shot blocked. The puck loose. And the Penguins recover. Kevin Stevens left it for Callender. To Yager in front to Stevens, and look at the job they did on him, dragging him down, and there will be a penalty. Dave Poulin turns, looks at Andy Van Helleman, tonight's referee, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to go to the power play with 9.5 minutes remaining in the second period, and the game remains the Penguins 2 and the Bruins 2.
Once again, the Penguins' size up front has been a factor. Kevin Stevens, biggest, strongest forward they have, doing his stuff along the board, showing pretty good quickness, and then just making his way to the front of the net. Dave Poulin led up for just a second, and that was all Stevens needed to get in front of him. Dave Poulin had to pull him down.
Out come the Shark Fins. Out comes the Pittsburgh power play. 4th time tonight. They've been stung by the Bruins on a short-handed goal. Here, they jammed the front of the net, but the puck came loose. Chuck Callender, Kevin Stevens, and Jaromir Jagr. Jagr pushed off the puck back in the net. It finds its way to Francis at the left point. In deeper to Stevens, down to Murphy. Larry Murphy to Jagr off the tip of his stick. Jagr outmuscles his man and gets control of it. Jagr much bigger and stronger than Don Sweeney. Now Francis at the point. In front to Callender to Stevens. Stevens rubbed out by Gord Murphy. Callender up with the puck. Sets up Francis. Up the slot. Blocked in front and recovered by Don Sweeney. Up around the boards. Murphy is pinched by Bob Sweeney. The Penguins recover at center ice. That was quite a pick. Jagr centers it in front. Don Sweeney turns it over. Larry Murphy into Stevens. The Callender back of the net. Gord Murphy all over him, and now Jagr picks up the puck. Comes right back into the net. Centered it to Stevens. To Murphy for a drive. Andy Moog has that. Tucked away up at the top of his catching glove.
The Bruins kill penalties very aggressively. That's Rick Bowness' style. He played that way. He was a very aggressive player, and they don't only kill penalties aggressively, they try to forecheck aggressively and use their speed, and you can see that they don't stay in a passive box. They're pushing guys all over the place. Here they've gone back into kind of a box, but it's a little too tight. That's why Larry Murphy is wide open at the top. You have to space it out a little bit, and the Bruins got all pulled together, so Larry Murphy was wide open for a blast. The way you saw Rick Bowness play, you'd have to figure that the Bruins would play an aggressive style, not necessarily trying to run people over because they don't have the size to do that, but aggressive in their skating, aggressive in their approach, their forechecking, their penalty killing.
He epitomizes what the Bruin logo has meant over the years. Good, hard work. Not flashy, but solid. Came to play every night. Rick Bowness, you were a teammate of his, as I recall.
You bet. And before the game, we had a clip from Rick Bowness, and he said, I respect Scotty Bowman, but I'm not intimidated by him. And that also represented Rick Bowness as a player. He was a small guy that fought every heavyweight in the league and didn't beat that many of them, but fought them all.
Had a trying season with the Boston Bruins. You remember so many headlines like Tick, Tick, Rick. Night after night, I'm sure if he didn't win, it seemed like his job was going to end in a hurry. But here they are in the conference final, and the score tied 2-2. They're killing off the Pittsburgh power play. Trottier centering pass. Intercepted and cleared out by Dave Reed, and Stanton hustles back. All the goals in the opening 20 minutes of this game. And midway through the second period, 2-2. And 15 seconds left in the Pittsburgh power play. Stevens with a nice pass to Tocchet. Tocchet back to Stevens, cuts in, shoots, and DeMoog makes the glove save. Oh, was that pretty to watch.
Well, we talked a lot about Kevin Stevens' size, but his skating speed is terrific as well. Here when he comes to the blue line, he makes a pass and he catches both Bruins forwards and just keeps going. If two guys are going to pinch on you, at least one of them has to get in front of the guy that's charging down the ice, and really neither Dave Reed or his teammate who was out there was able to get in front of Kevin Stevens. They caught him and pulled him off balance just in time, seemed to throw his shot off a little bit, but Andy Moog still had to be strong. Man, he is so quick. At 5'8" and 170 pounds, he is about an average size for goaltenders in the NHL. Barrasso is huge, one of the biggest at 6'3" and 210. But Andy Moog's quickness is what makes up for his lack of size, and that's usually the case. Smaller the goalie, the quicker the goalie.
That Bruin on his helmet is snapping the pucks up tonight. 17 shots for Boston, 15 by the Penguins, 10 of them in this period, and 3 of them on this power play that has just now expired. Bill Bourque trying to set something up from back of that Boston goal. Put it in the goal mouth. They bang at it. The scramble on. Penguins have it again, but Bill Bourque's shot doesn't get through. Now Stanton at the right point. Dumps it back in the net. Moog able to handle it. And Don Sweeney comes up the left wing boards. Sweeney has Adam Oates with him. Dave Poulin as well. He's dumped it in deep. Barrasso leaves it back of the net. Walt Samuelson checking his options. Gave it to Stanton. Stanton has a little trouble getting it out of the zone, and when he did, Wesley was there and he shot it right back in. Oh, the Penguins will try again. Once more, Samuelson to Stanton. Paul Stanton rushing with the puck. Trying to go through the defense, got knocked off his skates. The Bruins recover, and Matt Hervey, who's been used sparingly, but is out on defense now, along with Wesley. Hervey has cleared it out, and Walt Samuelson overled Troy Loney at center ice. Loney and Trottier out, and now the linesman, Gerard Gauthier, in a collision with Bob Carpenter. And Gauthier taken up on that hit. 6 minutes, 36 seconds remaining in the second period. Still a 2-2 score at Pittsburgh.
Well, the Penguins still having trouble reading the play. Here's Paul Stanton bringing the puck up the ice. Look at this, 4 Bruins back. What do you do? I mean, this is basically a 1-on-4. You've got to get the puck in deep. We'll stop it right here and show you that his teammate is being taken out on the side. It really becomes a 1-on-2. Paul Stanton tries to carry and just gets flattened for his effort right there in the play. An easy time for the Boston Bruins. The Penguins are a talented team. They have to be a smart team. When the Bruins put 4 guys back, nobody's going to penetrate them.
May have been a long day for that youngster. The Pirates were at home this afternoon, and then here to the Civic Arena to see the Penguins and the Bruins. Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship. A year ago, Pittsburgh eliminated Boston in 6. Many think that this series will go the distance, the full 7. Ryan Trottier clearing the puck out of the zone. Troy Loney at center ice, surrounded by Bruins, but up comes Yager. Yager tried to drive around Hervey. One hand on the stick, and he got checked by Dave Poulin, who came back to help. Poulin to Bob Sweeney. Played it off the boards. Shell Samuelson will recover at center ice. Look toward Yager. He elects to go further to Trottier, and he's pushed off the puck. And a 2-line pass would appear to be the call from the linesman, and the clock is stopped with a little under 6 minutes to play in the second period. Still 2-2.
Take a look at the shaft of that hockey stick. That's Bobby Carpenter's stick. Wayne Bonney is down picking up all the toothpicks from it splintering. Tell you how it got that way. Brian Trottier was cross-checked right across the back, and he has asked Andy Van Hellemond for about 3 penalties against the Bruins, and he hasn't gotten one call to go his way. Carpenter broke his stick, went to the bench, got another one, and play continued. But it was a real good lick that Trottier took in the back. Well, obviously, a lot of toothpicks,
I'll say.
and they are dangerous. The reason the linesmen take so much time picking them up is that all you need is one toothpick left out there, and it can drop you at full speed. And if you're hitting into the boards, that's a problem.
And look back at the Boston bench. There's another one of the many stories with the Bruins this year. Not just the kids coming into the lineup, but the return of Bob Carpenter.
Boy, isn't that something? He broke his kneecap last season, came back, and in his first game back in the playoffs, re-broke it. Missed 12 games this year just to rest the kneecap when he couldn't go back-to-back games. Missed 8 other games due to injury, but still got 20 goals for the 7th time in his career. Bobby Carpenter has been a real good addition to the Boston Bruins.
Talk about additions. When the Olympics were over, this man, Sean McEachran, reported here to Pittsburgh out of Boston University.
We're going to take a close look at Sean McEachran during our second intermission. Bob Papa has a feature on the Boston University star, spent 3 years there in Jack Parker's program.
Now Ruzicka for the Bruins has dumped the puck into the Pittsburgh zone. Gord Roberts parks behind the net. Veteran defenseman up off the glass, didn't get it around Ruzicka. Francis reached up and knocked the puck over the glass. Taking a while to play the second period. 5 minutes and 28 seconds remaining here. Ronnie Francis, the story of the round between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers when he stepped forth to fill the breach and Mario Lemieux went down.
Well, what an incredible athlete that can come to a team such as the Pittsburgh Penguins and play in the shadow of a guy who's sitting in the shadows right now. Mario Lemieux is up there in the top row, just in front of the gentleman that is standing up. But not only did Ron Francis step into the shadow, but Craig Patrick, his general manager, who was watching, has seen him step out of the shadow and back into a number 1 position, the position that he owned in Hartford for so many years as their number 1 center. It's hard to step into the shadow. It's just as hard to crank it back up when you step out of the shadow.
So good on the face-offs, not just the numbers that he has put up, but the important face-offs offensively and defensively that he's won. Crockett, Francis, and Stevens together. The puck ends up in the Pittsburgh zone. Old Samuelson back for it. Samuelson and Stanton on defense. The Bruins, excellent forechecking. Lazaro freed up the puck. And the shot from the blue line went wide as Murphy moved in. Gord Murphy came right out in front, and Samuelson was there to knock it away from Oates. Now Gord Murphy at the right point. The former Philadelphia Flyer puts it back at that goal. Junot, Joey Junot, it's wrapped up on the boards. He showed some strength as he got the puck to a teammate. Now back to Weimer. The centering pass went off the skates. And Glenn Murray parked in front of the net. And down the ice it goes. Weimer drops back. Tocchet into forecheck. Weimer around the boards. Number 44 is Glenn Murray. Murray, the Bruins' number 1 draft pick in the entry draft of last June. It's taken to the boards by Shell Samuelson. There's Phil Bourque and Junot. The puck loose. Jim Pack reaches back in the net. Pack found a teammate who went off his stick right to Adam Oates, however. Oates trying to cut in, could not. Bruins throw up another good forechecking job and hold the puck at the line. No, the ruler came outside the line and is shot back in, catching several Bruins inside that zone and making the play offside. As the Bruins and the Penguins are tied 2-2. Just over 4 minutes to play in the second period. Yager is out on the ice, being covered by Donato. Don Sweeney, the left defenseman, drove it in off Barrasso's blocking glove to Phil Bourque. Again, the Bruins have 3 men in forechecking. Now 2 as Poulin backs up a little bit. The puck comes to Glenn Wesley. Long shot to a screen, went wide. Yager can't get it around Don Sweeney. And here's Donato with a shot that misses. Poulin chases the rebound. Dave Poulin got knocked down. And the Penguins do get it out of the zone. Yager freed it up. Phil Bourque gets knocked off his skates, and back in for it is Jim Pack. Giving it to Shell Samuelson. Out to center. Herdina carries it across the line. Fed it to the open wing. Yager after it. Didn't get there in time. Don Sweeney to Poulin. Bruins out of the zone. 2-on-2 through center. Now Poulin picks up a loose puck. Trying to split the defense, and Phil Bourque reached in, took the puck away. Bourque to Herdina. CHRISTINA moves it down the boards. Larry Murphy couldn't get to it. The Bruins set up inside their own zone. This is Jim Weimer. Cross-ice pass. Long one as it was, and Duras turns, takes it off the boards, gave it to Reed. Dave Reed, a reclamation job. Toronto couldn't find a spot for him, and now Carpenter finds Reed. Puck played around the boards. Gord Roberts back for the Penguins. Roberts to Trache to Yager, and out of the zone it goes through the Boston defense. Icing waved off. The rule that Murphy either did touch it or could have. Andy Moog moves it up to the line for Dave Reed. Reed cuts to the right. Pass back the other direction, went off Carpenter's stick and is cleared by Stanton to Trache. Trache to McEachran across the line, got checked. Here's Bob Carpenter with it. He goes to the right wing. Bob Sweeney for Boston, trying to cut in. Sweeney is shot, blocked by Barrasso. Collision, the puck ends up on the boards, back of the net. Samuelson there with a couple of the Bruins. Bob Sweeney right up here as it came around to the near corner. Puck still in play, according to referee Van Helleman. Doing everything they can to freeze it to get a face-off. Now it pops loose, and Shell Samuelson got it to the corner, but no further. And Trache to pick it up here. This is a tiring style of hockey, isn't it? Battle along the board, trying to get possession of the puck.
Boy, a lot different from the first period, isn't it? I think the jitters have disappeared. The goaltending definitely settled down, and defensively these teams have played a much stronger second period than they did in the first.
A minute and 38 seconds, all that's left in the second period.
Penguins, on the other hand, and I asked their assistant coaches, what would be the ideal layoff if you were asked for the ideal number of days to pick before a series started? They said 3, and that's how many they had off.
Well, we'll see how they respond. We're into the late stages of the second period. Rick Bowness was so anxious to watch the game between Chicago and Edmonton last night to see how Chicago responded. They'd had the similar number of days off after having eliminated Detroit in 4 straight.
Worked pretty good, didn't it?
Didn't it? 8-2 last night. Blackhawks winning game 1 from Edmonton, and they're right back on Sports Channel tomorrow night. Here is Jeannot with an opportunity. Turned aside. Big rebound. Jeannot drives up the slot to the backhand. Put it in the goal mouth, and Duras couldn't finish it off.
Jimmy Pack with an outstanding play. He got just a piece of it.
Now Wesley moves in from the point. That's centered across the front of the net, and Stevens reaches in. Knocked it away from Jeannot. It comes loose again. Joey Jeannot back to the point. Here's Wesley. His drive off Barrasso. He scores! Glenn Wesley powers one from the point. It's 3-2 Boston.
Well, Rick Bowness also said his team did not have an identity. He said they have one now. They are enthusiastic, they are young, they are quick, they are better offensively, and we see the brilliance of young Joey Jeannot, number 49 of the Bruins. Just a couple of just wonderful moves in the corner. He pulled Kevin Stevens down at one point, and I think Stevens made a mistake by lying down hoping for the penalty. Once it got back to Wesley, Wesley blistered a shot that Tom Barrasso couldn't control. He got a piece of it, but not enough. Up and over Barrasso and in, and Glenn Wesley has given the Boston Bruins a 3-2 lead, but the whole play was generated by number 49, the rookie, Joey Jeannot.
Wesley back at the bench getting a rest with 44 seconds remaining in the second period. It is 3-2 Boston. Jeannot gets the only assist on that goal. Dave Poulin getting control of the puck, lost it to Larry Murphy. Reed forcing him back into the Pittsburgh zone, knocked him off balance. Roberts puts it back to the net. Barrasso turns it up the boards. Bob Sweeney went to that side of the ice. Bill Bourque comes back. The puck knocked away from him. Yager able to recover. Again, good forechecking, turned in by the Boston Bruins. Larry Murphy got the puck into the Boston zone. Don Sweeney got it out. Now Roberts clears it down the ice. Andy Moog to play it. Gave it to Don Sweeney. Weimer, he's cleared it out, and that's going to do it for the second period. Boston gets a goal late and a 3-2 lead here.
Nothing new for the Penguins, though. They've had to come from behind in series and in games, both against the Capitals and the Rangers. And the Penguins will have to do it here against the Bruins.
Another character builder in the third period. 3-2 Boston after 2. Let's check in with Bob Papa.
Thank you very much, Jiggs. We will have highlights from the second period. In our intermission, we'll also have a U.S. Olympic flair. We'll take a closer look at the Penguins' Sean McEachern. And after this timeout, Mike Amrick talks with the Bruins' Ted Donato. All that and more after this on Sports Channel America.
of Dedham, Massachusetts, and Catholic Memorial High School and Harvard, Ted Donato, and we see his goal in the first period. Turn sportscaster and describe it here.
Well, Pete had the puck, and I was going to come over to help out, but he seemed to get away, and the guy was tying me up, so I figured if I could tie him up enough to let Pete get behind the net, then I would somehow get open. But very lucky on the hop, and I'm not sure that one made the back of the net.
Yeah, it actually did, and it carried him back out. You are, again, on a team that, like your USA Olympic team, is getting great goaltending at a special time.
Yeah, you know, Andy Moog is playing spectacular, but you know, that's a nice little bonus when you're playing to have a goaltender that's just making it awfully tough for the other team. And sometimes they get frustrated, and as the series goes on, I think you know, both teams will be frustrated at times. But with number 35 keeps playing like that, we're going to be in good shape.
Well, you had a great run in the Olympics, and you scored some important goals there. You've scored an important, number of important ones with the Boston Bruins, specifically a Game 4 overtime winner against Buffalo, and then this one in the contest tonight. I'm just wondering if there is any end to the excitement that you can see for this calendar year for yourself.
Well, it has been a long year. I think I started about 10 or 11 months.
The Bruins in front 3-2 after 2 periods of play. The Bruins have gotten younger with the influx of Olympians. And Bill Clement, how are these young guys doing it?
Well, they're doing it with a lot of determination. Adam Oates has had to play with rookies most of the playoffs, and one of his line mates, Joey Juneau, makes a heck of a play on what we're going to show you now. It's our minute highlight of the second period. And Glenn Wesley starts it here, but watch this pick that he gets to spring him loose for an attempted pass to Adam Oates in front. Now he tries to pass to Oates. It doesn't work. And we'll stop right here and show you that right now Stevens and Juneau are going to race for the puck to the corner. Juneau pulls Kevin Stevens down, and while Stevens is flat, watch, he'll try to pull the puck in with his stick, and it doesn't work. But we can stop here and show you that Jimmy Pack, number 2 of the Penguins, has decided to go to that side of Stevens, thinking Juneau's going to come this way. Juneau, smart player, comes this way and leaves Jimmy Pack behind Kevin Stevens. Now it gets worse for the Penguins. We'll stop here, show you Rick Tocchet, who's a right winger and who really should be watching this right point, pinches in on Steve Leach. Juneau finds Glenn Wesley wide open on the point, and his shot was too much for Tom Barrasso to handle. Up and off his glove, off the crossbar, and into the net. So one of the guys that has to step up to pick up the slack from Ray Bourque not being in the lineup did it on that one. Glenn Wesley scored. The Bruins lead this one at the end of 2 periods, 3-2.
The 1992 Stanley Cup Playoffs on Sports Channel America has been brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. By Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. And by your Kawasaki Motor Corps USA. Kawasaki, it's where I want to be.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh. The third period is just underway. The Bruins have forced the Penguins back, but now Yager will try to get Pittsburgh through center ice. The pass to Kevin Stevens. Back to Yager. Yager driving behind the net. Stevens is pushed into Andy Moog. The net comes off. Moog is down on his back. The Bruins would like to get an interference penalty here, but actually they interfered with Stevens, pushing him back into the Boston goaltender.
Kevin Stevens continues to do what he has to do. Use his size, drive the net, make it tough on Glenn Wesley and Don Sweeney. They're the defense pair that are out there now for the Bruins. And Andy Moog at 5'8" and 170 pounds will fall over backwards pretty easily when 6'4", 225 hits him.
Andy Moog will get back into the net. Well, during our intermission, Mike Emmerich had a chance to talk to the Bruins assistant coach, Michael Connell.
Mike, you have to be pleased with the way your team has played in the first 2 periods of this contest. Anything you want to change at this point?
No, I think the key to our game is to check the puck. Go to the puck as quick as we can, not give them as much ice. Our defense are moving up real well. 10 minutes in that period, we didn't check as well as we'd like to. They came back and put some pressure on us. We had some big saves from Andy. But 5-minute mark on, 15-minute mark on, we started to check better and we got a goal.
Any surprises in this game to you so far through 2 periods?
No, the intensity is pretty good. It's been a good game. Both teams are playing hard, and I just hope we can keep this up.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thank you.
Now from the face-off outside that Boston line, the Bruins have controlled the puck. Don Sweeney, long shot from center is wide of Tom Barrasso. Paul Stanton turns it up the boards toward Brian Trottier off his stick and right to Leach. His shot is tipped and on into the seats. Well, they're saying in the press box here, Bill, that the first period was Patrick Division of Hockey. The second period, Adams Division of Hockey. What will we see in the third?
I think the first period was Penguins hockey more than Patrick Division hockey, because the Penguins are really atypical of the Patrick Division. They play a little more wide open style. But they can check. Guys like Brian Trottier knows both ends of the ice and both sides of the puck. But he'll have his hands full. I like what Mike O'Connell said. He wants his guys to really check the puck quickly. That means just pursue the puck, support the puck. That has two people chasing it at all times, unless you get pulled out of position. But the thing that Boston did against Montreal, Jigs, that was so successful, and Pat Burns even said this at the end of the series, he said Boston just played in-your-face hockey, and they have the speed to do that. When you don't have the size, you have to make up for it with the speed, and the Boston Bruins puck pursuit against Montreal was outstanding. They think they need that in the third period, and I think it's a pretty good game plan. If you give the Penguins time, it's their most valuable asset. You combine time with the skill level that the Penguins have, you can really put it together. So the Bruins want to take that time away with their quickness.
It was that same Pat Burns of the Montreal Canadiens who said every time his team stepped it up a notch, the Bruins stepped it up 2 notches.
Running out of holes in that belt. Something you wouldn't know anything about, but
not in this lifetime. Juan Francis on the face-off against Rosie Ruzicka. Boston leading 3-2. Last minute of the second period, they got the lead on a goal by Glenn Wesley. But now Yager drives Pittsburgh across the line, only to be pushed off the puck. And to handle it is Jeff Lazaro. Jeff knocked down. His teammates recontrol the puck, and Steve Leach dumps it through center. On into the Pittsburgh end. Chasing it back is Shel Samuelson, and that'll be an icing against the Boston Bruins. Early in this third period, 1 minute and 7 seconds into the period. Barrasso out for a skate.
You have to wonder who Scotty Bowman wants to concentrate on stopping. Adam Oates is obviously one. He's a gifted center, but this is the other man, Vladimir Ruzicka. 38 goals during the regular season, but Rick Bowness told me 2 days ago that he fell off drastically in the last 6 weeks of the season, and he even got benched in the playoffs, sat out 2 games. Rick Bowness has spent a lot of time with Ruzicka in the last week trying to pump him up. The reason he's back playing is that the Pittsburgh Penguins play a more wide-open style, better suited to Ruzicka. He needs a little room, but when he's not scoring, Bowness can't play him. He has improved 100% this season defensively, Bowness said, but still, that's not good enough. He's still not very good defensively. I think the Bruins need Ruzicka to produce to win this series.
Yeah, I do too. I like some of the kids that they've put into their lineup, having seen this Bruin team together in person for the first time, and I'm just sitting here thinking, with that combination of Oates and Junot, and if Cam Neely ever gets healthy and plays on that line, that will be a devastating forward line for Boston. The delay here, Andy Van Helleman back to say something to the Pittsburgh coaching staff.
You know, we mentioned Neely being out of the lineup, Ray Bourque is out of the lineup, and we've shown you Mario Lemieux, but we haven't mentioned that Bob Airey, a gifted left winger, and Joe Mullen, 42-goal guy, right winger for the Penguins, are also out of this series so far. Airey has a chance to come back. Joey Mullen is gone for the season. But the reason we haven't mentioned them is the Penguins have so much depth. You don't miss them that much.
Larry Murphy didn't miss the net on that shot. Andy Moog made the save, and Duras plays it through center, and again it'll be across the goal line, but this time Tom Barrasso will play it around to the left side instead of the right. And the Penguins once more failed to get out of the zone. Now they try to come up the boards again, only to be squeezed off the puck, and it's frozen for a face-off. The Bruins putting up that in-your-face checking style and leading Pittsburgh by a score of 3-2.
Well, they look a lot like businessmen. The guy on the left, Mario Lemieux, has enough money to be a businessman. The man on the right is Bob Airey. I mentioned Airey as a gifted winger. Gosh, he brings so much spirit and life to the Penguins lineup. Not a big man, but he gives you everything he's got. And for a number of years here earlier in Mario's career, he was Mario Lemieux's left winger. Hasn't played much with him over the last couple of years, but a very valuable guy and a good skater. And in the series, depending on how it goes, you can eventually miss a guy like Bob Airey. I said that we haven't talked about them because you don't miss them. I should say the Penguins haven't missed them yet, but it could get a lot tougher for them as this series goes on.
And depending what happens here tonight, that might speed up the healing process of Mario's hand dramatically.
Yeah, I think there's no question that with Mario Lemieux's situation, when he comes back, will partially at least be determined by how the series is going.
Right now, Boston leads game 1 by a score of 3-2. The Penguins move the puck along the boards down into the Boston zone, and Moog has come out to play it. Got it around the boards, away from Sean McEachran. Tocchet pinched in. Boston got it outside the line, and they regained control of the puck. And Hervey shoots it in, and back for it is Ulf Samuelsson. Around to the left side. Troy Loney got checked. What a job by the Bruins. Hemming in these Pittsburgh Penguins. Now the puck comes loose. Rick Tocchet starts out of the zone. 2 Bruins back. Tocchet plays it just up ahead of Samuelsson. Ulf centered one in front of that Bruin net, and Boston regains control. Checked on the play, however, was Oates. But the Bruins follow through. Down the right wing boards is Gord Hines. He got turned back. Brian Trottier moves it across to Shel Samuelsson. Samuelsson with a pass. Didn't make the connection at the Boston line. Now Ulf Samuelsson on the left side gets checked. And here's Steve Leach. Leach driving it on goal. Checked from behind. Centered it across. It comes off the boards for Dave Reed. Reed pushed into the boards. That was Mike Needham all over him. Now the Bruins center one that came off his skate. Gave BARRASSO an anxious moment, and he's covered it outside the goalpost. And again, he's slow getting back on his skates. The Bruins with a 1-goal lead over the Penguins.
In spite of the fact that Vladimir Ruzicka is not a good defensive player, Rick Bowness has him out there, but he has him flanked by a couple of excellent defensive players. Dave Reed on the left, Steve Leach on the right, and he needs to play Ruzicka. He has to show confidence in him so that he's good for him at the end of hockey games and later on in the series, and Leach and Reed will really back him up.
Now this Pittsburgh crowd trying to get something going. Their team is trailing by a goal. Gord Roberts has dumped the puck into the Boston zone. Oh, left it for Don Sweeney. It came back to the near side of the net, and Ruzicka is there. He's bumped solidly by Needham. Mike Needham out on this forward line for the Penguins. The Boston Bruins trying to dump the puck in. Did, but there'll be a charging penalty. That'll be against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Boston Bruins will have their 6th power play of the evening. Phil Bourque goes to the penalty box.
Well, you still want to continue to take the body and hit people at this stage of a hockey game. But watch Dave Reed, number 17 of the Bruins. He got hit from behind, and it was a real good lick by Phil Bourque. Reed never saw him coming, lost his stick, lost his helmet on the play. You just can't hit from behind. I mean, Phil Bourque doesn't need to take him out here, and the Penguins have to be a very smart hockey team in the 3rd period, especially down a goal. Boy, if there was one Penguin that could have been called the star of the New York Rangers series, Phil Bourque was one, Larry Murphy was one, but they got so much mileage from a lot of guys who were role players during the regular season. Phil Bourque turned into a point man on the power play, a penalty killer, a regular strength player against the Rangers, and now he has to sit the longest 2 minutes so far of this series for him.
It was Gord Murphy who ripped one just wide of the Pittsburgh goal that's now off the moorings and play called. Boston on the power play. You talk about Adam Oates being the quarterback of the power play, but you look to Junot as well. Here's a kid who handles the puck and has such great poise.
Well, you talk about a kid that's used to adversity. He went to RPI. He has a degree in aeronautical engineering. He's from Pont Rouge, Quebec. And when he arrived at RPI, he spoke no English. He zipped through, got his degree in aeronautical engineering. He is 30 hours away from his private pilot's license. So the kid doesn't mind a challenge, and he doesn't panic under pressure. Excellent hands, good skater. He's going to be a great player. All he has to do is learn the mental toughness aspect of this league, and he's going to be around for a lot of years.
All of those accomplishments, it would seem that hockey might just be a part-time thing, like a hobby.
Well, until a few years ago when the salary skyrocketed, it may have been.
Penguin short-handed. Francis has dumped the puck down the ice. Francis and Tocchet with Murphy and Ulf Samuelsson on the points, killing off the penalty for Pittsburgh. Now the Bruins start out on the power play. Hard in, round the boards off Murphy's stick. Larry Murphy, number 55 for Pittsburgh, couldn't clear it out. Here's Wesley into Junot. Junot with Murray out in front, and Murray got bumped as Junot centered it. Back toward the point and held in by the Bruins. Francis takes a couple of Bruins to the boards, and the puck was freed up for Larry Murphy. Then to Rick Tocchet. One man to beat as he drives over the line. Shoots one high. Moog has it in the catching glove.
I can't believe he caught that. And I can't believe that was Tocchet's full windup. He's not 95%. He's 100%.
That was like a Roger Clemens fastball, wasn't it? And he had no trouble. 52 seconds remaining in Phil Bourque's charging penalty. Bruins safely through center ice. Wesley plays it to the left side. This is Adam Oates. Oates looking for Leach, who's driven to the front of the net, set up the point man instead. Long shot. They battle for it in front. Steered aside by Barrasso. Adam Oates freed it up. Wesley at the left point. Hervey playing the right point now. Kjell Samuelsson can't get a stick on it. Jadal from back of the net. Plays it to the left wing boards, chases it, then feeds the point. At Hervey. To Wesley and across to Jadal. Could not get a stick on it. It is cleared up the boards by Pack. Didn't get it out of the zone. Gets another chance. This time he gets it outside the line. Now Oates comes across the Pittsburgh blue line, and Pack took the puck and shot it the length of the ice. They've killed off the 6th Boston power play of this game this Pittsburgh team has, and they trail by a score of 3-2. Ruzicka for the Bruins gets turned back at the Pittsburgh line. Ruzicka to the late man. This is Carpenter. He got spun off balance, and Larry Murphy clears it out. Don Sweeney shoots it right back in. It got around the boards away from Barrasso. Yager and Trache together along with Kevin Stevens. Stevens with the puck. Gave it to Larry Murphy. Falling, but was able to clear the zone. In the center ice area, Bob Carpenter finds an open man. This is Weimer. Stick save.
Boy, we're getting an excellent look at what Boston does best. They forecheck hard. Pittsburgh gets the puck out of their zone, but Boston recovers so quickly positionally in the neutral zone, they break up the play and stick it right back in the Penguins' faces. Look, that's the 3rd time in a row they've done that.
Jim Pappin is here scouting on behalf of the Chicago Blackhawks. Harry Howell on behalf of the Edmonton Oilers. They have got something to write in their book tonight. Larry Murphy with a shot. Hit the outside of the Boston goal. Yager looks for somebody in front. Jaromir Jagr showing some strength. Centers, and Moog makes the stop. Big save, but there will be a penalty against the Boston Bruins. Roberts turns it toward the corner. Brian Trache gets a stick on it. Back to Francis. Shoots. Andy Moog has that in the catching glove. And there's no further play. It's 3-2 Bruins as we pause for a regional break.
The fans are waiting in anticipation of the Penguins' power play because Gord Hines is off. Stevens again going to the front of the net, out-muscling Hines, and finally Gordy Hines had to drag him down. How big has Kevin Stevens been in this hockey game? Real big. But his Penguins trail by a goal.
Stevens had 123 points in the regular season compared to Mario Lemieux's league-leading 131. Scotty Bowman just took his 32nd timeout.
And Andy Moog had a chance to rest. He hasn't had that much work lately, and one shot that was headed over the net looked something like this. Rick Tocchet came to the blue line. Did he ever let this one fly? Up high. Wow, that might have had the crossbar. Now, sometimes the follow-through fools you, and I thought that was a good 6 inches over the net when I saw it live, but Andy might have had a crossbar shot to deal with there.
Now he has a Pittsburgh power play to face. Francis in the middle. Stevens on the left. Yager on the right. Phil Bourque at the left point. Larry Murphy on the right point. Adam Oates won the face-off for the Bruins. Stevens went shoulder to shoulder with the defenseman, and Phil Bourque held it in. Yager drew a couple of Bruins toward him. Now Yager frees up the puck, heads for the front of the net on the backhand. It was slipped off his stick as Poulin got a chunk of him. Ron Francis off the end boards. Gave it to Yager. Walks out of the corner. Centered. Stevens is there, and Moog robbed him. Gramble in front. The puck covered by the Boston defense.
Who's in the middle of it? Kevin Stevens. But Jaromir Jagr danced from the boards to the front of the net. We ISO'd Kevin Stevens on this play just to show you what he does in the power play. He doesn't stand. I mean, he's big enough to fight anybody in front, but when he moves, he's even tougher because you don't get a chance to get good position on him. Look at him poking away at it even after the play has stopped. A big man stays stationary, that's one thing. You might have to contend with his strength. But when he moves and you don't get a chance to get a real good stick on him, double trouble.
Stevens stays out. Yager stays on the right with Francis in the middle. The Bruins are able to clear the puck following the draw. Tom Barrasso will leave it for Larry Murphy. Yager turns, goes up the right wing boards, and takes the pass. 20-year-old Yarmer Yager driving on the Boston defense and has trouble centering it. Stevens was there, so was Francis, and the Bruins come up with it. Boston leading 3-2. They've cleared the puck out of play. On into the seats. The clock stopped with just a little more than 12 minutes remaining in the third period.
Boy, what a tough year Rick Bowness has had to handle. 55 players the Bruins used this year. Over 550 man games lost to injury. They set a record in the league since that statistic was tracked. Tom Barrasso was injured earlier in this hockey game. It seems all right now. But in talking to Rick Bowness, Jigs, I asked him if there was a point in the season where he really started to feel the pressure and was perhaps a little down. And he said, well, I would never show it publicly, and it's hard to admit it now, but he said in March, the whole season came down on him, and the expectations were still so high, and on many nights, he had a team full of guys that simply were not good enough to play in the NHL. You can't use 55 guys and have all NHL caliber players.
No, I wouldn't think so. Although hopefully for the teams in Tampa and Ottawa coming into the league next year, there will be enough NHL caliber talent to compete. I think there will be, but not all off one team. Murphy from the right point, trying to tee it up, and he got checked. Nice play by Dave Reed. Reed killing off this penalty. He's number 17. Penguins can't make the pass in the center ice zone. 30 seconds left in their power play. Murphy in the exchange with Barrasso, and it wasn't a good exchange. Murphy up the right side. They try a cross-ice pass here. Stevens comes off the boards and shot it wide. Now Tocchet covering the right point. Holds it in. Partially checked, centered it across. Kevin Stevens battling for it. Puts it in deeper. Francis can't get to it, however, and Don Sweeney plays it off. Ulf Samuelsson and out to center ice. Samuelsson up ahead to Stevens. He's been out a long time. Trottier comes out now to join the latter stages of this power play that has just expired. Now the Bruins get a chance to change, and the Penguins come up the right side. This is Rick Tocchet. Tocchet fakes it to blue line, trying to drive around Wesley. Puts it in deeper for Brian Trottier. Shot it off the back of the net. Trottier with it again. Tocchet had it, lost it, and the Bruins start out of the zone. Adam Oates to Joe Junot. Joey Junot over in the left side, into Oates. Juris went to the front of the net, was turned back, but now Juris steps off the end boards, trying to make the play. What a job by McEachran. Out it comes. Gord Murphy. Shot it off. Brian Trottier. Trottier, the 35-year-old veteran, still blocking shots. Now he limps back to the Pittsburgh bench. And the Penguins come out on the right side. Mike Needham dumps it in. Needham, Callender. Now Mikhailuk comes out as well to join this line. Mikhailuk with a shot that just went wide. This line called up from the International League, intact. Out there trying to get the Penguins even. Mikhailuk out of the corner. Puts it around behind the net. Vogue turns it up the boards. Needham will chase it back into the Pittsburgh zone where he'll recover. Under 10 minutes to go in this third period. The Bruins lead by a goal and an errant pass. Leach had it and lost it, and here's Needham. Mike Needham drives over the line, then got checked. He and Wesley go to the corner. Needham was content to take the man. The Bruins had the puck and lost it. Shel Samuelsson duffed it. And Boston is able to clear it out. Callender recovers at center ice. Jock Callender took a hit from Ruzicka as he dumped it back in. Matt Hervey has it now. Hervey, a California native, goes to the left side. Bruins come to center, and it's driven down the ice by Ted Donato. Donato following the play, but the Penguins have the puck. Loney has given it to Callender. Jock Callender across the line, into the slot, shoots just wide, and the rebound off the boards is handled by the Bruins.
Boy, that's one of the few good scoring chances that the Penguins have had in the last 5 minutes, and that wasn't even a very good one. The Bruins so sound defensively right now. The Penguins need a break. They need to keep driving the net with their big forwards to try to take Andy Moog's vision away.
Pittsburgh was so impressive defensively in their recent series against the New York Rangers, but they got the Bruins talking here tonight as we pause now for a regional break. Well, there's another of our memories, flashbacks to last season, and this is live. The Elvis impersonator is here. Is he leaving the building?
Impersonator?
I'm just a little concerned about this 3-2 Boston lead. He usually leaves when the Penguins are up big. Well, that's not the case tonight.
You see those hips That's Elvis.
Okay. You voted, no doubt, for the stamp of your choice. Big-time Elvis fan as you are, I know.
I like them all.
Good. Bruins forced the play back into the Pittsburgh zone. It's picked up by Ulf Samuelsson. Played it around Carpenter, but Bob Sweeney pinching in. Now he's met by Ulf Samuelsson. They both tumble to the deck, but the Bruins have the puck at the right point. Gord Murphy puts it back in the net. There's Ulf Samuelsson. Nice play to sidestep Bob Sweeney, and Yager failed to clear it out.
He knew Sweeney was coming for him, though, didn't he? Boy, when Samuelsson plays against any team from the Adams division, because he was in Hartford for so many years, it's real.
Now Ron Francis, also former Hartford Whaler, muscled his way in, but the Bruins had the puck and clear it out. Under 8 minutes remaining in the third period. Shell Samuelsson turns it toward Jim Pack. He'll dump it in. It's right at the end of the shift, and this Penguin forward line comes for a rest. Out comes Tocchet, along with Phil Bourque. Another forward on this line is McEachron, and he has the puck. Sean McEachron off left wing. Tried to center, did in the scramble, and Bo got a chunk of it out in front. They score! McEachron! It is waved off. Andy Van Hellemond was at the goal signal of the washout he was giving. He's gone back to the off-ice box.
I'm not sure he was using both arms. I think he might have been using one arm that may have thrown everybody. I think he was using one arm pointing at the net saying goal, 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 and not using his left arm at all. Maybe we'll see it. But McEachron ended up circling the net after his dump in front was deflected wide, came around in front, slammed it home. Phil Bourque is in the crease, it looks like, but Andy Van Hellemond comes to the side of the net and is motioning, pointing with his right hand, and you know, if you couldn't see his left arm, it looked like he was watching it out. But the face-off has been brought back to center ice, and the Penguins just needed one chance. Sean McEachron, with his second goal in the NHL and his second goal of the playoffs, has tied the game at 3. Now we'll see what the Bruins do. Do they have to open up a little bit, or do they just wait for their chance?
The goal stands, and Hellemond had been fooled. That signal, and it is 3-3. With just over 7 minutes to play in the third period. The puck comes loose deep in the Pittsburgh zone. Centered out in front of the drive, just went wide of Barrasso. Rick Tocchet, by the way, had the only assist on that goal by Sean McEachron, and McEachron has cleared the puck. Couldn't get it through to Tocchet. Don Sweeney hard around the glass. It'll be picked up by Jim Pack. The crowd is back in the game here again. Puck jumped away from Hervey, and Wesley has it for the Bruins. Goes to the left side. Jeannot centers one back. Duras tipped it to Oates. Couldn't get it to him. Troy Loney, with 4 Bruins surrounding him, has dumped it in. Andy Moog left it. Gord Murphy gets knocked off the puck. Here's Yager. Yager, one of those spin-around moves. Didn't get it to a teammate. Now Trottier will recover at center and drop it back for Roberts. Roberts, the Pittsburgh defenseman, to Yager. Moving off the linesman instead and comes back into the Pittsburgh zone. Bruins chase it. Lazaro centers it slow and into the catching glove of goaltender Tom Barrasso. Clock stopped with 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in the third period.
Here's how the Pittsburgh goal started. You can see where the puck is, and the Bruins tried to dump it in the middle of the ice. The Penguins cut it right there, and here they come on the counterattack. Sean McEachron goes wide, fakes the shot to freeze Gordy Murphy, and we can stop it right here and show you that everybody is covered in front. So really, Andy Moog is able to make a play on it, but the puck goes behind the net. Now we can stop and show you who would really get Sean McEachron. He's got a guy chasing him. Gordy Murphy can't get him. This player can't get to him in time. McEachron comes right around. Moog hasn't recovered. Bingo. Right along the ice behind Andy Moog, but it was that costly play in the neutral zone that cost the Bruins the turnover.
McEachron from Tocchet at 12:27 of the third period. The game tied 3-3 at Pittsburgh. Game 1 of the Prince of Wales Conference Championship. Steve Leach dumped the puck in. Cardina had it, lost it. It came to the side of the net off Rashicka and is covered now by Tom Barrasso. Ulf Samuelsson was back to help. A little pushing and shoving in front of Barrasso's goal. Everything simmers down and the game is tied 3-3.
inside the building. We went to the Penguins locker room where the scratch players earlier, half a dozen or so were in watching the game on television. Long ago they have left. They have gone to the weight room to work out. Ken Priestley was out sharpening his sticks, doing anything but watching the game. It's so nerve-wracking they say they don't even want to look at it.
I can understand. You can relate to that too, Bill, I guess. Roy Loney comes to center ice. Got pushed off the puck. It hits Ryan Trottier. Trottier can't back in around Duras. And the Bruins come across the line. And Donato driving to the left side. Fires one. And is blocked. And now a collision with the net. Frees it up. As you see, it's the post here on the near side that is just back of the goal line. So they'll right the net. And we'll have 5 minutes and 31 seconds left in the third period.
And as the seconds tick off in the third period, faceoffs become more important. Both of these teams were dominant in the faceoff department in their last series. Boston against Montreal, the Penguins against the Rangers. Dave Poulin was the best for the Bruins against Montreal, and Ron Francis was the best for the Penguins against the New York Rangers, and they have faced one another quite a bit in this hockey game.
You know, when you think back to the conference final of a year ago between these two teams, the Bruins won the first 2 games at Boston. They were coming off an emotional Game 7 victory over the Montreal Canadiens in order to advance. And then Pittsburgh rallied and won 4 in a row. Moved on to face the Minnesota North Stars and eventually won the Stanley Cup. Long shot from the point here is grabbed and held by Barrasso. And look at the way the Bruins drove to the net. Duras, Donato, and Oates all in there together.
Yeah, they have a little tougher time getting there very often than the Penguins forwards because of the size of the Pittsburgh defense. Ulf Samuelson's built like a linebacker. Shel Samuelson, 6'5", 235. So they try to get there with their quickness more than their strength.
Adam Oates stays out on the ice. You look at Tom Barrasso. The face-off will be to his right, and his battalion is out again tonight. There's more than 35 in his battalion, of course. That's his uniform number, folks. Bruins get the draw. They set up the man at the point. Long shot. No problem for Tom Barrasso making that save. Hervey will face it off again deep in the Pittsburgh end of the ice. Pittsburgh Penguins have scored the only goal of the third period to tie the game 3-3, but they have been outshot by Boston 11-6. Face-off again is deep in the Pittsburgh zone as Adam Oates will line up against Ryan Trottier. Duras to the right, Donato to the left for the Bruins. The other 2 Pittsburgh forwards, Kevin Stevens and Ron Francis, were off to Trottier's right. Penguins failed to clear the zone, and Oates centered one in front. A scramble, big save by Barrasso. Oates with a shot, off Barrasso and up into the seats. They have clunked the iron as well, but a close call, and the Bruins were just that close to taking the lead again.
Tom Barrasso's got a problem. I'm not sure what it is. He got some help from Ron Francis. I'm not so sure this puck didn't deflect off of Ron Francis enough. But Adam Oates' eyes had to light up and get real big because after Tom Barrasso went down, the puck came right to him. Here's the scramble in front. Stanton and Samuelson both take one guy and both go down. Adam Oates will skate into the bottom of the picture and let her rip. And did Ron Francis make that save with his left hand? I think Barrasso was too far back into the net, Jakes, to actually deflect it over the crossbar. That looked like it went off the post, too. Here comes Francis. Hard to say. Ron Francis made a good attempt at a block, and Adam Oates let it rip. We do know that it went over the net. But the Bruins are still coming. They're coming. I mean, this period has belonged to the Bruins.
It really has. They were forced outside the zone, as you saw in the ensuing face-off, and have dumped it in. Dave Poulin taken to the boards by Shel Samuelson. Penguins had it and lost it. Now a shot from the point gets through and is grabbed and held by Tom Barrasso.
Boy, when you can come into a building such as the Pittsburgh CIVIC Arena and play a high-powered team, even without Joey Mullen and Mario Lemieux, and hold the Penguins to 22 shots, we're down to under 5 minutes to go, while you're generating 35 shots yourself. Rick Bowness's game plan has been right on target. Still, the Penguins are tied with the Bruins, and it'll be interesting to see what Scotty Bowman does if he needs a timeout, because he doesn't have one left. He's already taken it. Rick Bowness has his timeout.
Now once more, Trottier and Dave Poulin on a face-off. This one won by Trottier. Impact comes out of the corner. Couldn't clear the zone. Long shot is wide of Barrasso. Rattles around to the left side, and Phil Bourque turns it out. Ward Murphy comes off the right wing boards and shot it in. Barrasso out to handle the puck here. Gave it to Pack. They're right on him in a hurry. So Shell Samuelson goes up right wing. Tocchet clears the zone. Ward Murphy with it out at the center ice stripe.
Well, the Penguins consistently try to come up the boards. They can't do it against Boston. The Boston Bruins are using such a full pinch, Jigs, that on that last play when they tried to come out, Don Sweeney not only pinched into the hash marks, but all the way into the corner. Now, to do that, you have to have faith in your forwards backing you up. And the Bruins in this game have used the full pinch all along. And, you know, the only time they've got caught on it is when Scotty Bowman's guys broke out on that 2-on-1 in the first period. And Brian Trottier scored a goal. Other than that, the full pinches work great. And so is the hitting, this time by Bobby Carpenter on Jimmy Pack. Carpenter's a strong guy. And the Bruins have hit consistently and used whatever size they have had to try and punish the Penguins deep in their own zone. Right on target. Forechecking has been outstanding by the Bruins in this one.
Now McEachran driving into the Boston zone has knocked off his skates. Rick Tocchet gets it right back across the line. Was checked, and Adam Oates clears it. Oates up this right side with a neat pass, but taken to the boards was Glenn Murray, the 19-year-old. And the Penguins regain control of the puck. Paul Stanton misses everybody. Has shot it wide of Moog, and will get an icing call with 3 minutes and 52 seconds left in regulation time. The only goal of this period by McEachran has tied it 3-3. Face-off coming in the circle to the left of the Pittsburgh net. Adam Oates on the draw for Boston. And Brian Trottier given the responsibility again of the defensive zone face-off. This is won by the Bruins. Hervey's shot turned aside. Now Duras centers. That goes bouncing off the pile of players in front of the net and is picked off and brought out by Paul Stanton. Stanton with a pass to Ron Francis. He shoots just wide. Moog got a chunk of it, and now Francis wheels it off the boards out in front. Here's Stevens. A weak shot as he was off balance at the time. And Boston is able to clear the zone. Paul Stanton for Kevin Stevens. He's taken to the boards, but Francis is into the Boston zone. The puck slipped away from him. He recovers. Look at the move on Wesley. Out in front to Stevens, and he couldn't complete the pass. Peter Duras steps over center. 2-on-2 as Duras is chased to the boards by Larry Murphy. They both tumble to the deck. Jeannot gets turned around and into the boards heavily, and the Penguins are able to clear it out. And he's shot right back in by the Boston Bruins. Picking it up here is Gordy Roberts. Boston in the middle of a change. Roberts comes to center ice. That's to the right wing boards. Gord Roberts, 34-year-old defenseman, sets up Murphy. The shot off the heel of his stick, and the Bruins come up 3-on-1. Steve Leach down right wing. Murphy cuts across. The pass to Ruzicka. They center it in front. Oh, what a stop by Barrasso. A trickling puck on the three-way pass, and they couldn't complete it. McEachran will dump at the length of the ice. The Penguins get the heat off with this icing call, but they were that close to falling behind again.
I'm not sure Vladimir Ruzicka had another option. If he had shot, he would have been at virtually an impossible angle, and he was so far over, he knew that if he could get it in front, somebody might have a at it. But the Penguins with some pressure, but the shot just misfired from Larry Murphy, and he had to backpedal coming back. And with the Bruins coming down on a 3-on-1, one pass, then another one to the side. Now it was actually Dave Reed that tried to pass in front. Ruzicka steered it over to him, but I'm not sure Reed had another option. Leach to Ruzicka and over to Dave Reed. Now if he fires right away, maybe up high on Tom Barrasso, but Reed never even thought about shooting. For a big man, Tom Barrasso's most underrated quality is his agility. 6'3" and 210. We talked about it earlier. The bigger you get, the more of that stuff you're supposed to give away. But Tom Barrasso has great agility for a man his size.
He has made 14 saves here in the third period. Penguins have cleared the zone. Tocchet playing it off the boards. Doesn't go far enough for icing. It was going to go into the goal mouth anyway. So Gord Murphy starts from back of the Boston net. Pass to the right wing, and the Bruins get to it at center ice. Duras drives across the line. Hack bumped him off the puck, and Kjell Samuelsson recovers. He clears the zone. And Hervey out at center ice. Shot it off Troy Loney. Rick Tocchet chases Hervey back into the Boston end. Hervey is able to clear it. Kjell Samuelsson chases it. Saw Ted Donato stumble a little, allowing Samuelsson to get back, and the puck is loose at center ice. Picked off. Here's Loney across the line. Loney can't slip it through to Trottier. Big defensive play there for the Bruins. Now Stanton frees it up for Rick Tocchet. Tocchet to Troy Loney. Loney tight on the right wing boards. And difficulty regaining control of the puck. Centers. Tocchet's shot is blocked at the Boston defense, and they clear it up ahead. Trottier takes the man. Samuelsson. Wolf Samuelsson took the puck. Couldn't get it into the Boston zone. Bruins trying to complete a player change, and the Penguins forced them back. This is Don Sweeney coming up the left wing boards. Kevin Stevens got a chunk of them, and Larry Murphy plays the puck. Murphy skies it on into the Boston zone. It bounces right to Andy Moog, who scoops it up. And play is called. 1 minute and 8 seconds left in regulation time.
Finally, the Penguins decide to dump it in. They haven't done much of that. And that's one of the reasons they haven't generated much attack. They've tried to carry it all game long, and the Bruins have been just like a wall at their own blue line. And if you don't mix your attack, you never really back the defenseman off the blue line. You've got to mix your dumps and your carries. The Bruins defense have been very strong at standing up on the blue line. But the Penguins will take this dump in because Larry Murphy dumped it right to Andy Moog, and with 1 minute and 8 seconds to go, a faceoff will come to Moog's left. And Ron Francis, the key faceoff guy for the Penguins, is out there. Dave Poulin, the man that we mentioned as the top Bruins faceoff guy against Montreal, is out there to face him.
Yager over on the right side. Points in the last 4 games, but nothing tonight. Adam Oates with points in 5 consecutive games for the Bruins, but nothing tonight. The Bruins have won 5 playoff games in a row. They have 60 seconds now remaining in the third period. Francis stepped into his man, but the puck ends up inside the Pittsburgh zone. Larry Murphy to Gord Roberts. Roberts spots Yager, can't get the puck around Poulin. Dave Poulin off right wing, driving on Roberts, centered, and it's in the catching glove of Barrasso, and he's fed it off to Francis. 3 Bruins drop back. Here's Yager across the line, trying to go through traffic. Stevens coming late, had it and lost it. Now the Bruins have a chance at center ice. Carpenter to the left side for Bob Sweeney. He's checked. A follow through by Carpenter turned aside, and Barrasso fell to the ice in his clearing effort. 25 seconds left in the third period as again the Bruins have dumped it in. Gord Roberts gets to it, gave it to Murphy. Murphy to Yager. Yager up to Stevens, couldn't finish the pass. 10 seconds. That's all in regulation time, and game 1 of the Wales Conference Final is going to go to overtime, but not before we have one more face-off, an offside at the Boston line.
Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins and Scotty Bowman can thank their target, their goaltender, Tom Barrasso, for keeping them in this hockey game and allowing them to come back and tie. Barrasso has faced 38 shots. Andy Moog has faced 25 at the other end. Tom Barrasso was shaken up in the first period, but he bounced back and has been very strong. Money goaltender, that's how he always perceived himself and told people he could play like that. He proved it last year, and he's reproved it again this year. So far, so good for Barrasso.
After regulation time, the Bruins and the Penguins tied 3-3, and we pause for a regional break.
Minutes have been played, and we have not resolved this first game of round 3 in the Wales Conference Finals. It is 3 apiece. Let's take a look at the scoring summary so far in the contest. It was seemingly a long time ago. Brian Trottier from Tom Barrasso at .326, and the Penguins were ahead. Bob Sweeney tied it, unassisted and shorthanded at .540. Then it was Ted Donato from Peter Duras at 13:35. Jock Callender from Dave Mihailuk at 14:22. Second period, Glenn Wesley from Juneau and Oates at 19:16. Bruins ahead. But then at 12:27, Sean McEachern from Rick Tocchet tied this contest up. Boston outgunned Pittsburgh in the third period 16-9, and overall in the game 38-25. But as Bill observed, we've had some great work done by the goalkeepers in this contest tonight. Bill, thus far in the contest, we've seen some good goalkeeping, but I'm just wondering if you had sensed down the last 5 minutes or so that both teams were playing pretty conservatively and we might wind up with an overtime game.
Well, you get into one of those tied situations in a game such as this. Everybody wants game one because it sets the trend for game two and the tempo potentially for the series. But you get into one of those tied situations and everybody's going to be a little cautious. You know, you've heard me say this a lot, Mike, when I talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins, and what I say about them is this: you can outplay them, and because of their depth and because of their skill level, they can still tie you, and very often they can beat you. All they need is one chance, and ultimately that's all that happened for them to score their goal, because the Bruins really, I think, from the halfway point in this game, have taken it away from the Penguins.
Going back to your comments at the start of the game, and the two players you focused on, the two missing guys, Lemieux and Ray Bourque, do you sense that whoever wins this game tonight will actually wind up forcing one of those injured players to come back a little earlier than he might thought he'd come back?
Well, Rick Bowness has already said that Ray Bourque is going to be back Tuesday night, so that would be a huge lift for the Bruins. If they can win game one and get Bourque back before the Penguins get Lemieux back, and there really is such little talk of Lemieux coming back for game two, it'd be a tremendous boost for the Bruins. Boy, they get Ray Bourque back, and they've already got a game one under their belts. They look very strong at that point.
We had one huge goal by a USA Olympian, and now a huge goal by his roommate with the Olympic team, and a guy on the other squad tonight, Sean McEachern, getting this goal from Rick Tocchet that tied this game and forced overtime. Phil Bourque was storming to the front of the net, but the cross-ice pass came in front, and Tocchet got a piece of it, but right out for the wraparound, and the stuff that wound up going through was McEachern to make this a tie game that we have right now.
And, Mike, we'll take a look at what started the problem for the Bruins. Gordy Murphy brings the puck up the ice. Now, what are his options? Really, if you look into the middle of the ice, he's got a player there, but his back is to him. He's got another player whose back is to him. Really, his only safe option here is up the boards. But Gord Murphy tries to force the puck into traffic, and he gets caught doing it. Now, McEachern will do something here that's kind of key that probably wasn't noticed originally. He'll fake a shot here. Now, we'll stop it right here and show you that. Look at Gordy Murphy. He is stepping to this side to try to get out of the way of the shot. Well, once McEachern fakes the shot, Gord Murphy has to scramble. See, Murphy's already moved out of the way. Now he has to jump back to try to get him. Pass is really missed. Moog tips it and it goes behind. But the question now is who can get McEachern? We can stop right here. Really, the only guy that could get him is the rookie Glenn Murray, who really had to make a sprint to this side of the net to head McEachern off, who's coming around. Gord Murphy is trying to catch him from behind, but he just can't. So Glenn Murray didn't react quickly enough. Sean McEachern did. And Andy Moog is still down from that original tip when McEachern centered it over in front. So smart heads-up play by Sean McEachern. Got some help. You need some breaks to make things happen, and the Penguins got a break on that one.
And those lights will burn all night, and we'll stay here till we get a winner. Twice the Penguins have played overtime, both times against the Rangers. They're 1-1. The Bruins have played 3 overtime games, and they've won them all.
Come back to our NHL studios in New York. Pittsburgh and Boston tied up at 3 apiece at the end of regulation. This is the 12th overtime of the 1992 Stanley Cup playoffs here on Sports Channel America. And the first overtime happened 4 nights into this year's playoff action. Let's take a look. In this series, it was the game And at that same arena, the Civic Arena. We'll find out after this timeout. The Bruins and Penguins tied up at 3.
A 3-3 tie overtime is coming up next, and all of the debate about which team benefited from an 8-day layoff or a 3-day layoff doesn't really mean a whole lot right now, because we're going into sudden death overtime. It's academic, and it has become academic for these two coaches as well. The coaches of the two teams were asked before tonight's game what their philosophy is when it comes to what we're about to have, overtime.
Overtime, I'm always concerned that maybe your offensive players can't even get on the ice before an early goal. So my philosophy has been to try to play for a goal early, try to get your top players in the game, maybe even double shift a couple of top players in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then routinely play like a regular game, knowing that one mistake can be costly. I've always been concerned about face-offs in overtime in your own defensive zone. They've won games for teams, and those kind of things can hurt.
We go for it, and you don't want to open it so much that you're giving the opposition a number of chances, but certainly any chance that we get, we're going for it, and we're going to bring the defense up, and we're going to crash the net, and we'll do whatever it takes to get a shot on net and get a couple of rebounds if necessary. But we're not going to sit back and wait for the breaks. We're going to try and take advantage of any breakdowns by the opposition.
Well, it should be kind of interesting. We've got both teams opening up the cannon. Scotty Bowman's comments, he wants to go for it. Rick Bowness wants to go for it. That tells you how the philosophy over the years has changed in overtime. Teams used to lay back and wait for it to happen. The one disadvantage for the Bruins is that the Penguins still have more firepower, and if Scotty Bowman double shifts it, they look to have an advantage. The momentum's with Boston. The talent and the skill level right now is with Pittsburgh, I think.
I think Pittsburgh has to dump the puck a little more, force something in that Boston zone. They've laid back a little too much for my liking, yet after hearing the coaches talk about their philosophy, somehow or another I still have this feeling that we're in for a long night.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, we'll see. If the Pittsburgh Penguins don't dump it, they haven't done that all game long. If they don't mix it up a little bit now, the Boston Bruins have a chance at their transition game, which is not a bad game at all. They've got good speed up front, and they can move it back up ice. Be interesting to see. I want to see how much Scotty Bowman plays his top guys. We'll look for Yager, we'll look for Tocchet, and we'll look for Kevin Stevens, I think, more than anybody, along with Ron Francis. Throw him in there.
Well, we'll see what happens. Andy Moog has had 25 shots to face tonight, given up 3 goals. Tom Barrasso, as you know, with 38 shots against. He, too, has given up 3. Teams change ends. Andy Moog will be in the goal, as you see, to our right. Barrasso down to the left. So as we come to overtime, this will be the 12th overtime game of the 1992 Stanley Cup playoffs. We had 7 overtime games in the opening round, 4 in the division finals, and this the first of the conference final. A year ago, there were 16 overtime games.
You know, during the regular season, the Boston Bruins played as many overtime games as anybody in the league. They played 20. 2 other teams played 20. The Bruins only lost 2 of those. They tied 12, but they won 6 of the 20, lost only 2 and tied 12.
And they've been perfect in the spring of 1992. 3 overtime wins. Teams at full and equal strength. Dave Poulin won the draw from Francis. Don Sweeney plays it around the boards. Kevin Stevens had the stick pulled out of his hands, but the puck handled here by Ulf Samuelsson. His long pass recovered at center and shot in by Don Sweeney. Ulf Samuelsson tries to play it out of the zone. There's Yager over on left wing. Nice pass. But he didn't get it to his teammate in time, and now Stanton has dumped it in from center ice. Glenn Wesley back behind the Boston net. Turns it up the right side and came off the boards and is handled by Ulf Samuelsson. Now Shell Samuelsson dumps it in. Glenn Wesley will get to it. Wesley had the big goal last minute of the second period to give Boston a 3-2 lead, and then Sean McEachran tied the game in the third. The Bruins try to set something up in that Pittsburgh zone. Dave Poulin chasing the puck. Put it back in the net. Phil Bourque had his man pinned on the boards. Still trying to tie up Dave Reed. What a job by Reed. His helmet popped off. Jim Pack freed the puck for the Penguins. The Bruins right back on it. That's Glenn Murray. Rick Bowness not shy to use this 19-year-old rookie. Murray, the Penguins clear the puck out towards center ice. Bruins set up. Weimer dumps it in. We played 1 minute and 10 seconds of overtime. Shell Samuelsson to Jim Pack up off the boards. The Bruins recover at the Pittsburgh line. Cross ice and a jumped over Juneau's stick. Handled here by Weimer. His drive off Barrasso. The Bruins, again with that tight checking, are able to get to the puck. Adam Oates frees it up. A quick shot deflects high and wide of that goal. And Murray got it away. Look at the forechecking here by the Bruins. They're backed out into center ice. Weimer recovers. Bumped into the zone by Gord Murphy. Now Tocchet for the Penguins. Plays it on into the Boston end of the ice. The Bruins have had the only shot on goal in overtime, and now they start out of the zone, led by Jim Weimer. Weimer, a long pass, bounces off the Pittsburgh defenseman, Gordy Roberts, and Barrasso plays it out of the zone. Couldn't get it to Trottier, but now Tocchet here in the right wing, dumps it down the ice, just out of the reach of Trottier. Moog had a notion to play it, does not, and that'll result in an icing call against Pittsburgh.
Boy, nice fake by Andy Moog. He went out behind the net, and he wanted to try to throw Brian Trottier off, so he wound up like he was going to take a big hatchet chop at the puck, and he let it slide for his defenseman to get in the corner. Andy Moog hasn't had as much work as Tom Barrasso. Has only faced 25 shots, but he's been good. Boston's chance, the best one, top of the circle shot by Jim Weimer. It was a screen shot that looked partially deflected on the way to Tom Barrasso, but when you've got a focus level that's as high as Barrasso's right now, those are actually pretty easy saves.
You look down that Boston bench. Rick Bowness has sent Ruzicka out to take the face-off. Carpenter is on the left side. Steve Leach on the right. The Penguins play the puck out through center. It's tipped and out of play at the penalty box.
Well, Scotty Bowman said that he might double shift his top guys. He hasn't done that so far. He's got Hrdina out there with Troy Loney, so he's gone with 3 lines. I want to see if Rick Bowness shortens his bench. He said he wants to go for it. He's got a lot of kids on that team. I know he believes in just about all of them. We'll see if he is willing to put them out here in a regular rotation in overtime.
Ruzicka in the middle to take this face-off against Trottier. That's Troy Loney, number 24, over on left wing, trying to knock the feet out from under Leach. Larry Murphy comes to center, fires a long shot, gloved by Andy Moog. At Hervey. Off the boards to Bob Carpenter, wheels it out through center ice. This is Leach. Steve Leach fires one, turned aside by Barrasso. Big rebound. It's kept in by the Bruins and now handled here. Medina fed it to Loney. Another long shot. Moog drops it off. Hervey turns it up the boards towards Steve Leach. Leach does get it out towards center, but Murphy cuts across. Played it to the Boston line. Up with it is Ron Francis. Francis with Loney. Francis moves in, and his shot was deflected wide. Comes back on the near side to Carpenter. Ruzicka now to Leach. Right at the end of a shift. He'll try a long shot. Actually a dump in. Ruzicka drove it after the puck, but Samuelson is there. He allows Stanton to handle it. Now up to Hrdina. Over the line with Stevens. Hrdina gets checked by Don Sweeney. And the Bruins clear the zone. We played just over 3 minutes of sudden death overtime. Don Sweeney down the left side. Drops it off for Oates. Cross ice. It's Ted Donato trying to make the play. The puck ends up behind the net, and Stevens gave it away to Oates. Oates puts it out in front. That will get outside the Pittsburgh line.
Well, one guy that's not helping Jaromir Jagr's chances to score an overtime winning goal was Yuri Hrdina. He was out there on right wing. Now both Francis and Stevens ended up out there. They're Jagr's line mates. When you see that, you got to get off the ice. Hrdina was out there almost 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Now the Penguins come to center. Sean McEachran with a burst of speed drops it to Stevens, and the shot turned aside, and Moog is belted back into the net. There'll be a penalty. Evan Stevens is going to draw a penalty.
Jakes, I've just seen one of the greatest delayed calls I've ever seen. Andy Van Hellemond triple pumped before calling this. He looked at it and thought about it for a good 4 seconds before finally raising his arm to call a penalty on Kevin Stevens, who I think deserved one. Andy Van Hellemond took a while to make up his mind because Stevens came to the front of Andy Moog and looked like he just forearmed him back into the net. Great speed by Sean McEachran, pulled out of the shot, decided to pass. Don't know why. He had a pretty good chance. Watch Stevens. See him give Andy Moog a shot right there.
Pittsburgh penalty, number 25, Kevin Stevens. 2 minutes for cross-checking.
The call is cross-checking. Stevens sits in the penalty box, and this will be the Bruins' 7th power play of the night. Specialty teams have not been a factor offensively. There's Ray Bourque.
Well, you can see the cast that Bourque has on his right hand. Now, that was refitted today. both his index finger and the middle finger on that hand, the finger that is broken, are fused together by the cast. So all he has to hold his stick, his thumb, his pinky finger, and the one next to it, his ring finger on his right hand. He's got 3 fingers, but he doesn't have the use of his middle finger or his index finger, and he's going to play like that on Tuesday night.
Man, missing his 3rd playoff game. Slash across the hand in the series against the Montreal Canadiens, sidelining Bourque. So we watch the Bruins set up in the power play. Joey Janot drops it off for Wesley. Wesley plays it away from Phil Bourque. Murphy gets it on into the Pittsburgh zone. Back for it is Ulf Samuelsson around the boards and down the ice, but it's going to be called. An icing indicated by the linesman to begin with. 31 seconds has expired, and the penalty against Kevin Stevens.
Once again, a look at the cast on the hand of Boston star defenseman Ray Bourque, who has to stand nervously and watch this one. Now, if Mario would just put up his left hand instead of his right hand hanging over the railing, we'd see the size of his cast, and it's a pretty good size cast on his left hand. Shooting the puck not bad, though. He is skating, and from the looks of things, not that far away. I suspect he could be back by Game 3. The Penguins are saying Game 5, but Game 3 would give him another 4 days to rest.
They did give us just a glimpse of that left hand.
He can take a cue after all.
It didn't appear to be anything on that left hand, did there?
Gosh, he's just taken that off then. He wears one when he's off the ice, and up until 2 days ago, he had a big cast on it. Obviously trying to rehab the thing without a cast on now.
Still says he has trouble stick handling. Shooting is a little easier than it was, but there is pain. Andy Moog quickly turns it up ice. Adam Oates with the feed here to Janot, on to Reed. He's surrounded by Penguins. Less than a minute to go in the Boston power play. The puck played right back into Andy Moog's area. McEachran into forecheck. Moog turns it to the far corner. McEachran after it. There's Oates. Now to Ruzicka. Vladimir Ruzicka to Glenn Wesley. Miss Janot with the pass. And it's offside. Handled at the blue line by Dave Reed, and they'll bring the puck back into the Boston zone.
You can see the problem the Bruins have without a quarterback, without a guy like Ray Bourque to actually bring the puck up the ice and either carry it or make the play. The Boston Bruins are having trouble bringing it up. Rick Bowness wants to talk this over now. Pittsburgh has already used their timeout, and with 41 seconds to go in this power play, looks like Rick Bowness has decided to take a shot at it right now. Well, he said he was going to go for it.
Through 5 minutes and 15 seconds of overtime, the Bruins have had 2 shots on goal. Pittsburgh has had 2 on goal as well. And they gather around head coach Rick Bowness. Scotty Bowman's guys are just content to lean on the boards and suck it up. Those lungs full again.
Boy, and it is hot in here. There was a day in the 80s in Pittsburgh, and this building, filled with over 16,000 people, has gotten very warm, very humid. Players have to be soaking wet by now.
The fans deciding what they would do in this case. Bill, I mentioned in the 3rd period that some streaks were on the line, and that Adam Oates, who had had a point in 5 consecutive games, didn't have one. They added an assist on the Glenn Wesley goal to Adam Oates. The one that gave Boston the 3-2 lead late in the 2nd period, so Oates has extended his string, obviously, to 6 consecutive games.
I think he touched the puck in front of the net before it went to the corner when Juno went and got it and fed it back to Wesley.
Now they settle back into the seats. Linesman Wayne Bonney ready to drop the puck between Ron Francis and Adam Oates. Francis turns on Oates. Murphy was able to get a stick on it. Gord Murphy, fired from the Philadelphia Flyers for Gary Galley. Murphy has shot it in. The puck comes around to the right wing boards. This is Oates. Adam Oates left it on the boards, trying to recover in a little deeper to Poulin. Back to Oates. Now to Wesley. Murphy shot deflected wide of Tom Barrasso, and it's cleared to the line, but not out. Wesley plays it around Phil Bourque. 8 seconds remaining in the Boston power play. Poulin parked in front of the net, calling for it. It comes out in front. Murphy's shot doesn't get through. Here's Glenn Wesley. He shoots. That's blocked by Ulf Samuelsson. Ames are at full strength again. Wesley has held it for Boston. Played it over the head of Adam Oates. And the Penguins are able to move it outside the blue line. Hervé will pick it up for the Bruins. And drive it deep into the Pittsburgh zone. This is Larry Murphy. Goes to the left side. Ulf Samuelsson couldn't get the pass through to Trottier. Boston dumps it in once more. Larry Murphy goes back for it. Into the corner. Ruzicka put it in front, and Trottier cuts that on. Had Kevin Stevens open, but Stevens was unable to move up the boards. Now Trottier again goes to the left side. Stevens clears it out. Rick Tocchet at center ice. Tocchet taken to the boards nicely by Don Sweeney's check. The Bruins come up the middle. Ruzicka tipped the pass intended for Leach. Penguins able to recover, and Trottier has dumped it in. Andy Moog handles it down to Don Sweeney. Turned it over. Brian Trottier, a wraparound. Trying to pass through to Stevens. Couldn't get it to him. And the Bruins come up 3-on-2. The puck jumped over Ruzicka's stick as Reed had a little trouble making the pass. Weimer out at center, dumps it in, and the Boston Bruins in the middle of a player change may have been caught here. Referee Andy Van Helleman going to the off-ice officials area, and the Bruins in a player change get caught. Too many men on the ice.
Well, it wasn't as flagrant as the too many men penalty that the Penguins took earlier in the game, but they got real confused at the bench. A bad line change with all kinds of people pouring over the boards before anybody could get off. And the Bruins were caught by Andy Van Helleman. Some of the Penguins people knew that there were too many men. Look at Scotty Bowman. Hey, look at that. He's already got it. Well, let's take a look at it. We got how many right here in this picture? We got 3 Bruins in this one. There are 3. Where do we go from here as the play moves up out of the Pittsburgh zone? You've already got those 3. Now, the line change will take place as the play moves up ice, but we can stop right here and show. Look at this crowd. I mean, you've got about 5 guys right there. You've got 3 Bruins still out here. Well, they must have set a record. They got 8 guys on the ice there. And Rick Tocchet standing there in front of the bench with his hand outstretched saying, what about it?
Saw Pierre Maguire, the assistant coach, on the bench with Scotty Bowman doing jumping jacks. Still has the headset on. That was one of the concerns of the 2 coaching staffs today. The headsets are on the same frequency. So the Penguin coaching staff could listen into the Bruins during the regular season. The Bruins did the same. They have it all corrected now, and Jágr drives into the Boston zone. Jaromir Jágr. Off the boards, into the slot, shoots, just went wide on the deflection. Jágr, after his own rebound, turns it back in the net. Francis had it knocked off his stick. He goes after it. Murphy pinches in, but Gord Murphy for Boston fires at the length of the ice. Penalty against Boston was called 7 minutes and 2 seconds into overtime. Bill Bourque pulls up, makes the pass to no one. Here's Jeff Lazaro across the line. Lazaro with a shot that was blocked. Offside, now being called. It was delayed for a long time and whistled down.
Jigs, I think Scotty Bowman's got to find a way to get Jaromir Jágr on the ice more. I don't think he's logged as much ice time in this game as he usually does. Played about 20 minutes during the regular season. His ice time's up to 27, 28 minutes during the playoffs. But, boy, in situations like this, and we're talking about a 20-year-old kid that loves to play and that openly complains on the bench when he doesn't get enough ice time, you need a game breaker out there. I honestly don't know why he's not out there more.
Yeah, good question.
I mean, he can play. There's no question about his legs. He's got lots left.
Rick Tocchet is out now, along with Stevens and Francis. Still 1 minute and 16 seconds left in this power play. Tocchet getting a little delay, coming back for another stick. Murphy and Bourque on the points for the Penguins. Boston killing it off with Bob Sweeney. And Jeff Lazaro up front. Don Sweeney. And Glenn Wesley on defense. Excuse me, making Gord Murphy the defenseman. That's Larry Murphy to Phil Bourque, out to Ron Francis. Francis goes to the right side. Stevens drops it back for Tocchet. He shoots up high, and Moog has that.
Well, Andy Moog will take all of those that the Penguins want to shoot at him. Nobody in front to screen. Rick Tocchet without enough time to wind up. So he lofted one at Andy Moog. But that's a low percentage play. Once you've got possession over the blue line, you want to try and take your time. Now, Rick Tocchet has time to stop and bail out on the play and turn it back around to the blue line. His point man was there. But Andy Moog made that one look easy.
Game 2 in this series, right here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. Ron Francis and Dave Poulin on the faceoff. Francis, number 10, leans in. Poulin, number 19 for Boston. Waits. Now drops the stick. Francis won the draw, and they get it back to Murphy. Over to Phil Bourque. Bourque lets one go that was tipped wide. Comes out in front for Francis. Back to Murphy. Larry Murphy feeds Francis. In deeper to Stevens. Back along the boards. Here's Francis. Francis lets it go. Moog the save. The big rebound was there, but cleared. Dave Reed got a chunk of it, and Poulin guides it the rest of the way into the Penguin zone. Larry Murphy rounds the net. Pass to Phil Bourque. He got checked, but Murphy was there. Out now to center, and Tocchet drives it into the Boston zone. Half a minute to go in this penalty against the Bruins. Stevens trying to center it to Tocchet. It ends up in the far corner. Rick Tocchet couldn't control it. He and Wesley in a battle for it. Now Kevin Stevens takes over. Stevens makes the pass. Murphy with a shot. That's tipped up into the seats.
Was Dave Poulin in the right place, or was he in the right place? In front of Andy Moog, Larry Murphy received a perfect pass. And Dave Poulin, the guy that makes more underrated plays than anybody in this league today when he's healthy, missed 61 games this season with an abdominal injury that resulted in surgery. But watch his play here. Down on one leg, one knee, got a piece of it with his left hand, so Andy Moog didn't even have to touch it. Second to Cam Neely, Dave Poulin was the most missed player when he was out of the lineup this season. Stevens perfectly to Larry Murphy, only to be stopped by Dave Poulin. Now, we talk about chemistry a lot, Jigs. You need catalysts to create the chemistry, to pull all of that chemistry together. And Dave Poulin provides that intangible quality of being a catalyst, I think, as well as anybody. There's another guy, Brian Trottier, that supplies a lot of it, too.
Sure does. The puck has been shot down into the Pittsburgh zone. We have played 9 minutes. Sudden death overtime. Up the middle, the pass didn't arrive for Loney. Moog let it slide wide, and that's an icing against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The teams are at full and equal strength again. At this stage in overtime, Boston has had 3 shots on goal. The Penguins have had 5. Looking at Bob Sweeney, who scored a shorthanded goal after Pittsburgh had taken a 1-0 lead in the first period. Ryan Trottier had scored for the Penguins, and then Sweeney came back. Donato got a 2-1 lead for Boston before Callender tied it for Pittsburgh. Stayed that way through most of the second period before Boston took a 3-2 lead. And in the third, McEachran tied it for Pittsburgh. Trottier against Oates. That's your face-off matchup. Trottier tying up Oates. Nice move by Stanton to recover the puck. He's given it to Yager. Yarmer with a little trouble handling it. Stanton couldn't control the puck. And now Oates drives across the Pittsburgh line. Nice pass to Juris, and a shot hit Stanton. Wolf Samuelson turns it up the boards. Down into the Boston zone. No icing this time. Don Sweeney hustling back for it. Down to the left side for Ted Donato. He's cleared it out. He picked up by Shell Samuelson after he had to turn and go back. Don Sweeney lost it. Here's Yager driving across the line. Comes in on goal. Yager shoots. He scores!
Finally got Jaromir Jagr back out on the ice. By my count, only his 3rd shift of this overtime period. What a move. What a move again. 2 in a row. Maybe the puck deflected by Matt Hervey between Andy Moog's legs. It was a low shot, not placed at all by Jagr, but it got through, and Ray Bourque's reaction. We'll try him on Tuesday night.
Yager's 7th, his 4th game-winning goal. The final is the Pittsburgh Penguins 4 and the Boston Bruins 3. Pittsburgh has taken a 1-0 lead in this best-of-7 series. Let's check in again with Bob Papa.
So the Penguins do it again, and Jaromir Jagr, the man on the spot, he scores the overtime goal. Pittsburgh takes game 1. It's time to salute our Molson player of the game, and he is Tom Barrasso, the goaltender for the Penguins. Really kept Pittsburgh in it throughout the course of the game. 38 saves for Tom Barrasso. He is the Molson player of the game. The Penguins win in overtime 4-3. We will take you back to the Civic Arena for more of our wrap-up. We now pause for a regional break.